So that's kind of where we are at on that. It's a great resource. It's a great resource to get a hold of everybody. But your players have to actually put their cell phone numbers in there, otherwise it doesn't work. So we don't have too many cell phone numbers in that rained out program. So try to utilize that as you can. Like I said, if you want the colony if you want to sign up, if you're not in there, send me a private message in the scrolls and we'll get you set up, and we'll be good to go. We do have quite a few colonies coming on board, and getting them set up with the right social media, getting them, getting your guys set up with your Google Calendar and getting them embedded, and doing the lore and all that stuff is going to be very important. I think that's pretty much what we wanted to say with that. For other game activities, you don't actually have to host games. Like, say it's in the middle of winter and your turnouts will be crap if you're going to be outside. Do some stuff inside. It's very easy, and you guys can chime in as you see fit here, chiefs and overlord. But crafting sessions, lore sessions, making NPC garb, getting stuff ready for the next season, that's vital. This is the best time when you got downtime with extreme weather changes. That's the best time to start, building your arsenal and utilizing your volunteers to do that. And they'll definitely help you out. In the elder section, there's a lot of tips on how to do things. A lot of us are manufacturing a lot of our own stuff and making our own costumes, and we can give you advice as to what leathers to use, what has worked and what hasn't for us. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Utilize the elder section in that regard to what works and what doesn't. Anybody else have anything to add for that one?
Sounds good to me. From what I caught, sorry, I had a phone call.
No worries.
As always, you've pretty much just covered everything. So leave us all speechless.
Sorry, I do that.
Yeah.
It's always better when you hear other voices though and see other people on the screen, because that
absolutely
that you get sick of looking at my super whiteout face from all these lights and junk. So
actually, it's not so bad with the white background.
It's not so bad. Shot it out.
Those white screens though, they make bags under my eyes and stuff. It's like, oh my god. Need makeup. But just to give you an idea of, we got lighting here, we got lighting over there, and all the other stuff. There's the camera I was supposed to be using, but
Mr. Perfect here.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm using a webcam on my computer. I can touch it.
Right here, boom.
I can't even use mine. Mine's busted.
Oh.
But you're on your phone.
Yeah, I dropped it. It'll come on a little bit, but it looks like you're looking through a prism.
Sweet.
That's special effects.
Psychedelic portal. What do you got there?
Injection molded bone knife.
Oh, where'd you get that?
Gordrak's make for Ufnar.
Oh, okay. So that's the actual size. I didn't get it. With the ones you were doing, I wasn't seeing how big that thing was because I only saw those.
I think it's right around 15, 16 inches.
Yeah, something like that. It's close. I didn't get an exact measurement. I think it's like 15 and an eighth. Just past throwing knife status, but they make some awesome throwing knives. I've got a cordless one at the house. Dude, I can sling that thing 25 feet and it goes exactly where you throw it every time. Every time. Weight is right. The tip end always hits, not the butt. It's nice. So I've got to play with that a little bit. We're actually getting together on throwing knives. We're gonna make a couple and mass produce those since cordless is a lot safer to play with to start.
Yeah, and having enough weight is also one of the issues when you got a cordless. You got to use a dense enough foam, heavy enough foam. Otherwise, they don't
Oh,
come anywhere.
absolutely. I mean, the stuff, I've played around with a handful of the stuff from Kalamazoo, and, I mean, they're okay up to, like, about 15 foot. But after that, I mean, they might as well just be string spaghetti, you know?
Right.
His that he's holding right now is the same exact weight with or without the core, minus like half an ounce. I mean, seriously, that's what it weighs when you throw it. And I mean, it's heavy duty. So, hoping how did it go in battle? By the way, I didn't get to ask. I know you said it didn't. That one held up a lot better than Alpha.
The other one kind of didn't survive.
Yeah, good deal.
This one so far has held up.
Had to tweak the foam ratios and play with it. So.
Yep.
Back to
And,
quality.
That's kind of off topic.
Yeah, that's off topic. Sorry about that.
well, and this is an elder chat, so you can definitely, we're not broadcasting to the our main target audience here is the elders, not everybody else. So I don't know if this will even be public on the YouTube channel or not, but I don't know, probably will be.
Some more advice I want to give. I ran a lot of winter games last year. I had 3 people show up because apparently we're the only ones dumb enough to get out there when, it's 15 degrees and there's snow everywhere. But camp pad foam weapons, which is what the majority of realms that are just starting out, even some that have been around, I've been doing this for a year, and my loner weapons are all camp foam. But those get really, really frigid, or rigid, rather, in cold weather. You might as well be hitting yourself with live steel. Another concern that I really want to pass along is when you make your weapons, don't use PVC or CPVC to do it. Because especially if winter LARPing is an option for you, PVC gets very brittle and will break, shatter, and become razor blades like nothing else.
So what are they to do?
My recommendation is fiberglass rods all around. I mean, that's what all the professional companies use. You can get driveway markers from Lowe's, Home Depot for a 48-inch stretch for like $2 a pole.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Mine were 10. They jacked them up on us out here.
Okay, well, prices may vary. But, I mean, if you're going for anything that's over, say, a short one-handed weapon, you want to double up on the tubes if you go with the driveway markers, because they're only a 1/4 inch thick as opposed to the 1/2 inch, which is really what you want. What I've done in the past is I've just duct taped them together all the way down so that it's one solid core, and just use that.
Even better, if you're really wanting to keep and make sure that core doesn't come through your weapon, take and wrap it with a layer of soft foam, stuff you can stretch really good. Wrap that bastard in and tape it again. And that'll really ensure that core doesn't come out the end when you're stabbing, if you've got stash players or if anything else happens to happen. I mean, you throw it on the ground real hard. I mean, it's foam. It comes apart. So just make sure you really solidly cover that core up.
The other things you can use for cores are also kit spar and also carbon fiber. But like you said, the most readily available items would be, your driveway markers or your fiberglass rods. I was talking with Carlos in Puerto Rico. It's very hard to find them.
Yeah.
So, our colony in Iceland also was having problems finding those. So,
Goodwins, would they not ship to them?
Goodwin, I would have to maybe. Goodwin's might. And there's other manufacturers besides Goodwin's that may be more economical if they're closer.
Right.
So, but we should do a post on all the places we found to make cores. That'd be a pretty vital resource.
Yeah, I've been doing research. I have nothing tangible yet, but I'm trying to figure out how to fabricate my own cores altogether so that I can do custom weapons, scimitars, something like that. That's got a little bit of a curve to it.
Or splits, bees.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and that, if you can make the whole thing like you said, then you can get creative with blade symmetry and make it the way you want it.
Right. I'm just looking at loaner weapons. I mean, once I know that we've got a good manufacturer that's got our backs more so than the guys that we're dealing with now, everybody's out of the country. They'll give, or they'll work with you. I know they give donations to LarpCraft as a whole, but I think getting each individual colony on a base, I know it's kind of random when they are willing to help you out.
Right.
But I mean, I'd much rather support the guys that are out there doing this for the community as opposed to continuing to do it myself. But
right.
In the meantime, everybody needs something.
Right. And that is another thing that we're trying to do, is, collectively, is try to teach the artisans how to do this stuff and get enough of an arsenal of artists to make, product. And if they can't, like that blowing horn, that horn that's on Live Action Products, that was actually designed by an artist in Chicago. She was in the first Gandalohar event. They came up as their acoustic band. They were playing all the songs and stuff. And it took her over a year or 3 years or something to make this horn, because it was delicately carved. And the wall on the horn was just thin, like thin. And I said, if we can mold that and make that out of plastic and then cover it in a EPA-approved resin, so you can actually use it for drinking and blowing and stuff, would you want to do that? And then we'll just, pay a royalty, or we'll just split the profit on it or whatever. You as an artist then make something on it, and you don't have to do anything with it. And we did that. We sold a few of them, but the molding process for that is hard, because you have to go back in, and we had to adjust the mold to make it thicker, so that the plastic versions were, you could throw them across the trailer and on the ground. And, people drop stuff all the time, so you couldn't do that with a real horn, especially when that was designed like that. And I tell you, pulling something out of a mold when you know that it took, thousands of hours to make, and you could break it, just trying to take it out. I mean, it was sweating bullets, man.
Yeah, I'd like to see you do just a more basic one. Blowing horns, I've been looking online, and I know I could shell out the money for it, but I'd rather support a manufacturer if I can. But something that can go both ways, with like a little cap or something at the end that you can unscrew. I know that's what Joss had at Esker. It was really nice horns. Got I think a brass cap on the bottom, doesn't it?
That or cork, you can either or. It's interchangeable. It's just the problem is if you put water in it, you got to drink all that water before you A, blow in it, or B, start freaking running down the trail, because that shit sloshes all over you. You're soaking wet. Makeup's running down your pants. Great.
Yeah, the plastic horns are really a pain, and they take a lot of time. It's probably better to get a lot. You can get a wholesale lot of horns, and some of them that you get are really nice, and it's the cheapest to buy them in a lot like that. And then each horn is like anywhere between $2 and $20, depending on how big and what kind and what season and that kind of stuff. But you could literally end up with a whole down in Texas there. Go to one of the slaughter farms, just drive up and be like, hey, I want some of the horns. And
actually, I've got cow skulls that I'm about to go pick up. They're full-size cow skulls to mold, so I can use them in gear and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's available resources also is something that you got to look at for props and such. But, you could easily get a lot of horns, and just your whole tavern, you now have horns, and you can sell them to players and such. But you still got to coat that with something on the inside. The bone is still porous. So there are definitely ways to do that.
Pick a mold of it.
That. Yeah. The brew coat stuff, that the EPA approved epoxy resin, you could get a gallon of that, and it'll do hundreds of horns. That stuff will go forever. But you have to do it in a certain amount of time, and it's temperature sensitive, and
Dump it in the mold, seal it up, zip tie it tight, and pull it up and hang it backwards. And you'll pop back in the chair.
Yeah. And you got a whole bunch of horns hanging on racks all over the place, and craft's dripping everywhere. I mean, it's messy, but it's the safest way to do it.
That foam has a 45-second pot life. Tell me about doing it quick, man. Oh.
It's
so
crazy.
And when stuff's too small to fit right, you've actually got to pour it in the mold, seal the mold up, zip it all up. And
then you start getting into the really small stuff, and it just doesn't expand right. It's really hard to do small stuff.
That knife's about as small as you get with the foam I'm using now. That's as small as you really want to go. Like throwing knives we can do, but anything less, I'm going to have to put a whole bunch of port vent holes in the thing so that it seals right.
Right, and even then, again, it's frustrating when you have to pour that stuff, and it's just easier to okay, I'm going to get a roll of foam, cut it up and latex it, because you could, for what you spend on 3 poured foam weapons, you could make an arsenal of cut foam with latex weapons. So,
problem is a good camp pad foam. Blue camp pad foam falls apart. Military camp pad foam, once you cover it in latex, becomes mega rigid. That's what the black sword I have is made out of, is the army grade stuff, and it's not going to break, but safety wise, I have to really lightly hit people. Like at the Esker game, I didn't do a whole lot of combat with it just because I didn't want to end up getting face deep in battle and tearing people apart like Narlog and his hammer did once or twice. There's black sword.
The foam that I found, I've gotten a few different samples, and I've got a roll of it at the shop now that I'm experimenting with for making our own props, is the polyurethane closed cell. It's like acoustical foam.
I remember.
So, I mean, it's it's
somewhat dense,
seems
but
to work
still
good.
good.
Yeah, it's still going to be porous enough where, the latex has something to stick to. It's not camp pad. Like, camp pad has, that film over the top.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of times, and that's you can't coat that. You can't treat that. So, just getting the bulk foam. I actually went to Polyfoam here, which is, they're one of the largest polystyrene foam manufacturers in the United States. And, the way they make those big foam blocks that are 20 foot by 20 foot, it's just and it's intense.
I ordered foam from them, and that's actually what I'm using on the Golem boss costume that I'm making. So I bought that in a 20 by 20 freaking block, and they ship it in a box about yay big. Mm-hmm. And when you cut the tape, the thing explodes in your face and throws you across the room. By the way, hi Frey, I see him back there. He joined in.
Nice. Oh. Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of different ways to do it, and again, we'll post what we can on the Elder section on the scrolls, and to help out, trying to come up with a good way to make a good arsenal of loner weapons, and then you'll get all these players, and then once in a while you'll get a few players that will be like, oh yeah, I want to do that, and they'll get real passionate about making stuff. And then you have a weapon supplier, basically, because they're going to sell. You'll just buy from them because they'll spend the hours and hours to frustratingly do it wrong enough times to get it right. And they're like, oh, well, I just did that wrong. Oh, there's $1,000 gone.
You definitely want to sit down with those players too. At All Hallows Eve, my event last weekend, we had 5 new players, and they're all really just gung-ho about LARP, which is awesome. And, of course, they spent the last 3 weeks making a crap ton of weapons, and not a single one of them passed inspection.
Yeah.
So.
Ouch.
Yeah, sucks. That sucks a lot.
Ouch.
And that's why, and I've done the same thing, and arrows are the scariest part. And that's why we designed the live-action products arrowhead the way we did, because, dude, arrows come into games, and you don't know who made it, and you don't know how they made it, and you don't know what's underneath. And, did they follow, the tutorials online are good. I mean, if they followed the tutorials on how to make, a Belagarth arrow or that kind of thing, they'll be good. But if they're just like, oh, I'm going to wrap some tape around a field tip, dude, there's been horror stories of stuff like that where the field tip pierces through and into somebody's actual shield.
Right.
So we don't want to let, if you don't trust them and you don't know how they made it, have a knife, tear it open. Be like, you got to show me one of these, because we gotta know.
That's
right.
My rule with arrowheads is LAP arrowheads are none at all. In the story, I don't want to fight with it unless they can prove with a tag that it's like Kalamazoo. If they make arrowheads, if they even do, I don't know. But live action product arrowheads or none. That's my rule.
The Kalamazoo heads aren't bad. I got to see some of those at Esker. Frederick had some. But at the same, dude, you're giving me killer feedback. At the same time, though, I've heard stories of those breaking down fairly easily too. So
yeah, Rorian did that. Rorian had a problem with that where they were modifying. They had some Kalamazoo heads. He drew back and the head fell off, and luckily he looked down the shaft before he loosed an arrow without a head on it. So, arrows are scary. Bolts are even scarier. Bolts are definitely scarier even. So, why do all your names come up when you talk, but my video doesn't seem to come up when I talk?
Yours does.
Okay, yours doesn't come up to me. Okay.
Right.
We'll see how
you're
that
you're also the primary speaker, so unless we're talking, it's you all the time, buddy.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't pick my nose. Got it.
All right.
So, to bring up current events here, I'm really, really excited to hear a little more detail on the band, the life band system. I knew I kind of threw out there, why don't we not use any life bands? But I just wanted to know. I saw your post, but I really wanted to get some good feedback on that. Like, I was going to hit you up in text, but since you're here.
Right. It actually, I was glad you brought that up. Was hoping we'd get to touch on that tonight. It went over fairly well.
Why don't you picture somebody watching this video 3 years from now?
Gotcha. Okay. As of right now, our current system is we have 3 life bands that we wear. If you die, you turn over a life band to whoever killed you or whoever, I guess, loot you, technically. It's not always the person who actually killed you. They're worth 50 XP apiece, and you turn them in at the end of the event. You cannot hold on you more than 5 life bands. So technically, if you kill 2 other PCs, you gain 2 lives and are quite a bit richer for it. A proposal came up for the 4.0 rulebook system.
Many proposals. It kind of was an evolving proposal.
Yeah. Was to modify it a little bit. We were just talking maybe reduce it by a band or 2, and then we kind of decided, let's try it. Why not get rid of them all together? And I got the opportunity to test this past weekend at my All Hallows Eve event. It went over fairly well. I mean, we had the spawn point, we had an NPC healer, 2 of them, plus we had a couple PC healers that were there. I don't think they could have resurrected, but they could at least kept you from dying. The biggest complaint I really got was how far away it was to walk to the spawn point, because my realm was spread out over almost 2 miles worth of trails, and the spawn point was dead center. So if you were at the furthest edge, you had to walk a mile to get back. But I did have somebody bring up, what's the incentive for PvP, for attacking another PC? And my response to them was, well, you don't have the XP you're getting from the band, but you're still going to get the loot. You're still going to get, whatever quest items they might have on them if they haven't turned those in yet. Something we did a little bit different, Ryan, is we had them turn in quest items at the tavern as they got to the tavern, and we paid them out right there with coin and just recorded who turned it in, so that at the end of the game I gave them XP for it. That way there was an immediate reward for it. They weren't walking around with it. I didn't have a scroll posted all day long that, the quest wasn't out there anymore. And I got off on a little bit of a tangent, sorry. But he asked, what's the point? And personally, I have some NPCs written in that are essentially headhunters. That's what they do is they kill people, they take trophies, and that's their whole MO. That's all they do. By removing the life ban system, we'll have no way to facilitate that unless I kind of ad-lib on my own. So I did want to discuss that with you guys to see. I don't want to. I like getting away from the XP for the life bans. I constantly try and stress, well, my guys, it's not about the XP. It's not about maxing out your character, getting to the highest level. It's about coming out, role-playing, having a great adventure, making a story. It's not a video game.
This isn't WoW.
Right.
Well, what I was kind of thinking, from when I was reading it, is, the bans not being life bans anymore. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember who said it, but maybe keeping a band or something, but they're not representing life anymore. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember who it was, but they said something about like taking an ear or a tongue, and that's kind of what we was looking at doing here is because Frey makes I think it's Frey that I believe that makes some awesome life bands. Y'all, with the woven stuff, I love that, man. And I would hate to see those go to waste. And I really wanted to order some as soon as I could. And so I was kind of thinking, for Blackwater, you still being able to wear them, but they have no XP value. They don't represent your life. It's just a way of, this is a trophy I got, off of this kill, that type of thing.
I personally want to carry around, special trophies of whatever for whoever kills me in an event. I'll bring, a pouch full of fingers or ears or, like some piece of jewelry or something or like a bone or whatever my character would carry, and keep that on me. So if somebody killed me and, they wanted a trophy, they just happen to go, or have that look, somebody's like, oh, I was going to take a life band. And you just hand it to them real quick. Boom, here you go. You killed me. Good job. Here's a trophy for it or something. Just as a courtesy, more or less. Than
I'm just going to start targeting elves and ripping off a latex here. That's that simple.
Or some glittering berries. You at least feel better.
Right. You bring up a really good point, of having something. And it's just, a lot of times it's withdrawal from doing something very different than what we're used to doing. It is kind of, it was kind of nice from the life band system to say, okay, well, you don't know how many times this player's been killed. They could have got spanked all day long. And, if they're on their last life band and they're a new player, a lot of times from a sportsman standpoint, you kind of cut them some slack. You want them to have a good time. But, except unless if you're Josh, then it's all murder.
That's what
Blood,
we do.
Guts, and gore, baby. Blood, guts, and gore.
But, it's so much more immersive when you don't have life ban. And just having to have the characters catch up to speed with the ramifications of taking someone's life echoes through the storyline. And there's, if somebody from one faction kills somebody else from a guild or something else, it has a ripple effect that goes well beyond that 5 minutes of play.
Well, that and it's the mental, that dude just spanked me.
Right.
He's gonna always know that you spanked him. So the next time he's walking down the trail and you're coming, head on to him on the trail, he's gonna be like, okay, hold on. Do I want to engage this guy again? Am I gonna do it? Am I really gonna get spanked? And he might have people around him, and he'll back up. That causes tons and tons of different emotions between players in that sense.
I'm kind of glad you went there too, Joss. Another thing, do we want to? I know other systems have said you've got to forget like the last 5 minutes of what transpired when you die.
Good luck.
I know. It's one of those you automatically set back in or re-enter the game with the intent on going after your killer. Maybe not everybody, but I know that's probably my motivation.
Yeah.
Or going back after your prey again.
Right.
Yeah, you're fixing to get it now.
And or advertising that you got killed by that person, so the word spreads of the bad deed, it can
That's
turn
part
a
of
lot
the game.
against you just from killing one person. From a roleplay aspect, that's like fantastic amount of roleplay from one thing. So
I would say I do kind of have a complaint like at Esker, and I kind of noticed it watching the battles. When people would respawn, they take off real quick. Well, in battle, like being an orc, I wanted to actually stop and start devouring somebody. Like in the fight when the bandits roll up in the camp, I wanted to devour one of the bandits after killing him. I didn't get a chance because as soon as the battle was over, everybody got up and bailed out. The death wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't long enough, I guess, or there wasn't. It kind of broke immersion somewhat. We didn't. I don't know. I just saying, like, there's more you could do with like a body. You could carry it to the.
You're supposed to stay dead until the battle actually moves away from you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're still there, still messing around with the corpse, I would agree. I mean, you should probably continue to roleplay being dead.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to take a trophy from you. Maybe they want to make an example of you or something,
more immersion in the fact of being dead. You're dead from the battle. Give it a time limit or something. You need to be there at least like 5 minutes or until the entire group is nearly out of eyesight, earshot, whatever. I mean, but until people have, forgotten that your body is there and move away. Because it was no more than a minute. We'd killed the bandits. They were kind of getting, floating out of camp somewhat. And I turned around to go to my kill, and he was gone. And I'm like, really? The corpse just doesn't despawn that fast. What happened here? But somebody, any camp might want to do that. Like the bastards might want to hang an orc body up on their post or something. If you want to role play through that, or anything of that nature, just to go with it more. I guess just to say, hey, do more role play. If you're going to die,
right,
make it epic.
But I think that's also, I think we're pushing for more and more immersion, and we also have to keep in mind, Josh, that we've got colonies coming on board that are very much light immersion or no immersion, and it's going to be like that.
The experience,
right?
They gotta progress it through years of play or weeks of play, or
right.
Some players are going to be really good at it, and others are going to be like.
Yeah.
Well, I can vouch for that. I mean, starting out Blackwater, man, I literally have, it's me, my son, my sister, a buddy from work, and his son. And that's it that we have right now. I'm trying to get that Brittany Wartooth that signed on. She's from Pensacola. She says she's got people interested. She says she got a group of like 10 or more, but every time I try to set something up to get them to come up this way to get a game or whatever, it's always, we'll see what's going on, and not very reliable, So I mean, that's us our funds are limited. Just starting out, the props aren't here yet. We're doing the best we can. So, we are pretty much, we want to be more immersion, but we're kind of forced to be light immersion.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, Ericor. Averin, just like LarpCraft, started out with 3 players. That's it. It was myself, Torrin, and Viral. That was it. We kind of struck out for somewhat immersive garb to begin with, and that's something that's just carried on. Even now, my core group shows up in full kits, to the point we had 5 brand new players to the system, never played before, show up this Saturday in full kits.
Wow, that's awesome.
Just because they saw the photos on Facebook, they saw what we strive for. So they, I guess, just assumed it was expected, even though I had billed the event as a low immersion.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, and that goes to reiterate the fact people don't read; they just look at what they see, and that's what they expect, or that's what they're going to think it is all the time.
Oh, absolutely. But the point I'm trying to get, Ericor, is set the standard yourself. Even if nobody else follows it, you stick to it, and eventually they will fall in line.
I'm going to post that exactly. I said exactly that. I guess it was a Brittany girl that said, well, I'll just, kind of make something catchy for now, and it'll be okay. And I was like, no. Go all out. You want people to follow you. You've got to be the example. If somebody sees you in full gear and goes, whoa, I want to be like that guy. And then the next guy sees him and he's going to be like, well, I'm going to be like that guy. And it just chain effect. I mean, me and my wife are only 2 colony players, plus my sister sometimes. So I understand where you're coming from with not many players, but we're just gonna get out there and do it. Full gear, full costume, all the best props we can make, at home and just get after it.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And people will see you out there. They're going to stop you. They're going to ask, are you guys part of some theater troupe? Do people hire you to be here or this, that, and the other? I don't know how many questions. My undead got stopped Saturday, and people were taking photos with us, and they were like, were you hired to haunt the woods or something like that? Because it was in the middle of a park. Granted, apparently we were doing such a good job at playing undead that we ended up getting the cops called on us for scaring a bunch of kids. But but they were cool about it. They just told us to move further down the trail out of the Muggle zone, and which was my bad anyway. I didn't really draw the line on how deep we should stay in the woods.
Yeah.
But if you set the standard, our tenant and I have said back and forth to each other multiple times that if you give 110 to 150%, your people are going to come 80, come 90. And if that's all you can get out of them, that's all you can get out of them. You'll get one or two that are going to match you. They're going to hit that 110, 150.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have your core players trying to outdo each other, which is always a fun competition. So, they got Joss out there cutting off somebody's ear and gnawing on it while something's happening. The other guy sees it and is like, oh, how am I going to up that? How am I going to do something that'll just be way crazy like that? And then you just kind of play off of it, and then eventually the whole group turns into that, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, well, I told my son, because the way I got it set up here, it's in Blackwood. That's why I named it Blackwater. The colony Blackwater. It's Blackwater State Forest is what we started off in. They got a man-made lake with an old sawmill next to it, trails that interlock, and then they got two natural lakes, and they all pretty much, lock in each other through the trails and the roads and stuff. So, I mean, you could literally go out there and be walking on the trails for days, but we went out there this past weekend, and I was trying to set up an all-weekend game, and it just turned out to be me and my son. And I told him, I said, the heck with it. I said, let's do it anyway, So we got out there and when I submitted the XP, I submitted because we only had two players. I submitted as a battleground XP. But, we got out there. We had fun, and luckily my mom, she's retired. My dad finally got him a good enough job that, he could support both of them without her working. So she sits around the house all day doing nothing. I mean, she literally made my dad's dog a matching work uniform so that he could go to work with my dad. Yeah. So I called her up. I said, well, hey, if you're not going to be doing anything, I said, how about making us some costumes? And she's like, just give me she's like, go buy the pattern you want, send it to me, and I'll send it back to you. So, I mean, we lucked out with that. But, yeah, I told her I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm used to it. The part of Florida we live in, it's all Navy, Marines, Army type bases. Pensacola is a real big military town. So you don't have a whole, most people that grow up here move out. Most of your people that are here now, they're only here for a short period of time. So it's hard to get good groups that last a whole long time. But there are people here that will do it. So I told myself, let's just stick with it, and if nothing else, we'll have a small group that we can all get along and have a great time with,
Right. I'm actually surprised on the LarpCraft forums, on the scrolls, how many people from Florida are inquiring about places to play. I don't know if we got more search engine power in Florida. I don't know what water. I don't know, but we get a lot of requests from Florida. And
I see a lot of those. I was like, man, Florida's blowing up quick.
Mm-hmm.
Are they from Ohio?
Yeah, there's I can't think of his name. He actually he's over on the other side of Tallahassee. And I've been talking to him. He's trying to get I linked up with his Facebook page, and he's talking about getting his group going. I was talking about once we get ours growing, doing like a inter-colony thing, meeting like halfway. He's over by Gainesville, over that way. Getting together around Tallahassee, doing kind of like y'all's big events up there. And
right.
So getting those together, yeah, there are. I've noticed there's a lot of people interested in it. The only problem with me is they're all at least 5 hours away.
Right.
I saw a Midland post yesterday. They're like, "Hey, anybody in Midland, Texas?" I'm like, "God, that's like 8 hours away from me. That's almost as far away from me to Ufnar in St. Louis as it is to go to Midland."
Yeah, and that's how it is. They're all like, "Hey, we're in Florida. We want to play. By the way, we're in Ocala." You know, that's like 9.5 hours, man. Yeah. So but they're if I could just get those people to move up this way, it'd be awesome.
Right. Or like when we started with the LarP group, we didn't have this many colonies right away, and we were pulling people from a lot of different parts of the state. And I take them aside after a game, and I was like, you should start your own colony because you can't afford to drive halfway across the freaking state every time we have a game. And let's just spread it out a little bit, and then we can all afford to go to each other's games, and then I don't have to host all the games because that'd be awesome. And that works great, and just trying to keep the communication between the colonies enough to where we can attend most of each other's games. It won't happen all the time, especially if you're, really far apart. But, showing that there's a lot of groups coming down from 5-6 hours away to our games shows me that there is, obviously besides the world game, but, doing the regional games and such too, that we're going to be able to, do what we want to do with the world game, which is like the once a year epic, come explore and
spend your last penny and go. Whatever you do, go. If you're thinking about it, you're like, oh, I might go to next year's world game, just save the money now and go. It's worth every penny. Every penny. It's so fun.
Absolutely.
You get to actually meet all the other people too. It's so cool.
Yeah, I would love to have it. That's what I was talking to my wife and said, man, I would love to get it so good down here that we can host a huge world game during the winter. Because like Iris was saying the other day, I said, man, it's freezing down here. And she's like, how cold is it? I was like, it's like 50 degrees. And she's like, what? It's only 50 degrees down there? I mean, I was in shorts and flip-flops, this past weekend, So, I mean, it'd be nice to be able, just be like, hey, Wisconsin people, come on down here for the winter, you have a nice game in the middle of the winter, and not have to worry about freezing to death,
Right. And that's kind of what we were trying to do with the regional games was to say, we got the big regionals. I was talking to Lee about this. It was a while ago, trying to figure, okay, how big are the regions going to be and what dictates who gets what. And basically, I'm just going to take it from the world game of like, if you have the right location, you got the right props, and you got enough colonies coming in to bring their props to make one big game because everybody's got all their stuff from all the regions that they'll bring in. I want the world game to move around. That's going to be, wherever the best location is that can host eventually thousands of people is what we're going to be looking for.
By the way, we're claiming a camp for next regional event. I'm bringing a trailer full of props. So.
Yeah, I heard that there's people renting buses next year and bringing they're coming in by squads. Their colonies are coming in, but the factions and the guilds are all traveling at once, and they're going to be freaking flying their banners on the car. And I mean, that's great. That's great. It's just like any other sport team activity in that regard.
It's not just like any other sport team. It's freaking LARP. It's way better than some sports team going to sit in a bleacher and eat some popcorn and get a greasy face and a Coke. Oh, great.
Yeah.
This is live action, man.
That's right. And once you get
I guess I kind of see it like on the new guy, the last football game where the whole high school comes over the hill. They're all waving the banner, and he's on the horse, and everybody's got the war paint, and they come charging into the game. That'd be awesome.
It would be really cool. So, we want to take this thing as far as we can go. And, the life band, getting back to the life band system, we post some ideas, and the system works, a democratic system. I think we probably work better than Congress does, obviously, where
Apparently.
We can post something and come to a resolution. But, like, if you looked at that life band post, it modified itself 3 or 4 or 5 times as people were posting and just kind of getting brainstorming ideas of how to make this work better. And the more people we have, the more elders we have, the more games we have, the more experience we can bring to those scrolls to change things more efficiently. So we can all be on the same page.
Absolutely. Going back to the World Regional real quick before we move on to another topic, I'm absolutely looking for a good campground, something similar to Esker for here. Doing the math, I'm about the midway point, for you guys, Faradris, Eludia, Lorland, so I'm really stoked about that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Much prefer the 10-hour than the 22-hour drive that Esker will be next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, Lufnar. Go. Find the location, man. It's all on you. So.
I didn't ever see, but did the armor, the paddle for the armor setting, is that going into 4.0? Is it hit the armor? Is it just call armor globally? What? Hey, it's loaded.
I'm not sure how you're going to be able to hear me. I'm hooked up to this doohickey.
Yeah, just take that little doohickey out of your ear. To answer your question, Josh, we're going to a global point system, but local hits, as we discussed. It's going to be a lot more streamlined. It's where it's going to be.
Actually,
I just didn't know if that was into effect now, or if it was still up in the air. Or...
It was passed. We passed it through an elder vote.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see that. I haven't been back to that thread yet. I was making sure that was still.
Yeah, no, that's already been moved into the rulebook section. We're working on icing out the actual values and stuff because the way Ronan and our tenant want to do it, because our warrior classes, they cap out, what we're wanting to do is give them more achievements. So we're going to break each individual like light shoulder armor, medium shoulder armor, heavy shoulder armor. Each one of those is going to be an achievement. But it's not going to, well, it's not going to dictate your actual armor points anymore. So if you're wearing light armor, you're going to get the light armor value. If you're wearing medium armor, it's going to be the medium armor value. And that's all based on your chest piece. Any other accessory you wear, all that does is it's more locations that if you get hit, you can use your armor points.
Okay, so it just falls under a category at that point. I got you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, just so I'm clear, the chest piece is what dictates if it's heavy, medium, or light, correct?
Yeah.
That's my understanding. The light armor, like let's say for instance, right now the working numbers we've been using is 5, 10, and 15 because it's fairly simple. If you were to combine armors like medium and light, wear a chainmail underneath a leather cuirass, that would take you up 2 points. So it would take it from a 10 points for the medium armor to 12 points because you got the leather to reinforce it. If you went from medium to plate, it would be you'd get the 15 for the plate plus 2 for wearing the medium. It'd be a slight buff, but nothing crazy.
Okay.
And it's all based off of your chest piece.
Now they can hear me?
All right, I got you.
Hey!
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Good, because I can hear you.
Good. Look more excited about it, man. God.
Oh,
we're all happy.
One heck of a day.
You and your
work, get your Wheaties?
No, I got a car with a bad battery, so that's why I'm late.
Alex.
So I had to pick up new battery terminals. When I'm done with this here, I have to go and put the battery in the car, replace the battery terminals. Joyous occasion.
Oh, wow.
I did that a few weeks ago. So
that sounds like our weekend, man. We went camping up there for that event, and the park ranger come over. I've been camping there since I was a kid. Park ranger comes, I got bad news and better news. He's like, the better news is you got a flat tire. So I have flat tire out in the middle of the woods. And he's like, and the bad news is they reclassified this. You're not allowed to camp on this side of the river anymore. You got to move your camp.
oh.
Yeah. So I was like, well, as soon as I change my tire, I'll get right on that, sir.
But anyway, as he was saying about the new armor system, it's going to simplify things a lot more. But with the new system, the reason that you have to the different pieces don't count towards your main count, but you have to purchase them with XP.
So what if somebody just wears greaves? Like plate greaves. I don't have a chest piece yet.
That's no armor then.
How do we score them?
You don't.
You have to have a chest piece? Couldn't it be like
have a chest piece?
the biggest piece dictates it?
Well, I don't want to.
I mean, we can do it through the scrolls, really.
Well, I don't want to have somebody come in just wearing plate greaves and automatically get 15 armor points. Why get hit in the legs 15 times?
Well, you still die if
Nobody's
you
gonna
get hit in
hit
the
this
chest, or
leg.
the arms, or the shoulder, or the belly. I mean,
I did this so I can hear myself.
You know, I would almost think it would be best if we went with a 1 armor point. If you're wearing anything or you're not wearing a chest piece, you know, we'll give you 1 armor point.
That's what I would think, you know, like, because if I was just planning on wearing greaves and cloth, you know, and I would assume, you know, if you're wearing just leather or bracers, I mean, if I'm just wearing leather bracers, I mean, I would assume, you know, 1 hit extra, that's it.
if you get hit on the bracers, that
Yeah, if you get hit on the bracer, that, you know, kind of prevent, you know, maybe, you know, it deflects it, that 1 blow or whatever, and then the next comment comes through, you know, that's it, your arm's gone.
Okay, yeah, write it in the scrolls just so we take care of that loophole, because that's going to be, somebody's going to ask that.
that'll be a whole nother battle.
Well, I don't know. Let's just hammer that away and get that squared out. I think you're right. Let's just do it that way with 1 point. And
1 point for all of the extra pieces.
Yeah, if you're wearing anything extra, if you're not wearing a chest, even if you're doing, you know, you've got bracers, pauldrons, which is hard to wear without a breastplate, by the way, greaves, you know, that's still, you've got 1 armor point. You get hit in one of those locations, it's gone.
It's done. Yeah.
Base it off of the chest piece for the 5, 10, or the 15. Because the reason we're doing this is we sat down and what did we come up with, 32 points of armor or something like that?
Hey, if I was wearing all my stuff, I'd be more than happy to have that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just we're looking at reducing the amount of math to streamline our sign-ins.
Yeah, it was a bit confusing. You know, seeing everybody all their full armor, I was trying to count it like every time I'd walk down the trail or I'd be in a group with somebody like Frey, I'd be kind of eyeballing him, trying to figure out, you know, what he was wearing, and then, you know, move on to, you know, if I see Ufnar, kind of build it up. But it took a lot of mental effort just to try to see what people are wearing and guess at their armor points, because, you know, if I gauge it wrong and run in to fight Ronan here, who's got like freaking 25 points of armor, and I'm sitting here fighting and I die, I could have been, you know, been guessing, you know, well, he's got 15-ish, he's got, you know, plate on, and then underneath his plate he's got chainmail, and underneath that he has leather. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'll definitely reduce the. Okay, this person has 25, and I'm hitting him, and why is he still calling armor? You know.
Yeah, and then when is it going to stop freaking calling armor, like the battle between Narlug and a Grimnock? I'm sitting here thinking, like, okay, how many? They've only got leather on. I swear there's probably been 15 armor calls, you know, for each person so far. Who's going to die first?
And I like it streamlined because I suck at math.
well, and it's hard to do when you're looking for spells. You got your potions you got to keep track of. You got your life bands. You got your mana bands. You got, well, not life bands anymore, but you know, there's a lot. And it takes time to get that all down, but if you can streamline your armor a little bit, we've fought and fought and fought. You know, we were at each other's necks about armor, and we had probably 20 different revisions of how we wanted to do it. We looked at everybody else's armor rules. Some are confusing as heck. Some are so dumb that
my magic is enchanted, and it has an extra 5 points on my bracer. Screw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I think as a community we've come up to a pretty good solution, and we'll continue to refine it as the years go on. But just keeping it universal so everybody understands it, and that's all we can ask.
Join LarpCraft. Our armor system is simple.
Well, honest to gosh, Ronan, I mean, that's the reason I picked y'all. I mean, I looked through all the different things, and just like there was a video on Netflix I had actually seen. That's how I'd seen LARP the first time. But it was about Nero, and I was like, hey, it looks pretty cool. And then they're starting like 1 normal, 5 this,
Oh, I have.
It's the last time earpiece.
Looks really simple and easy to do, and I'm gonna give it a shot.
I have the first time ever I got a message on Facebook from, was it? No, not on Facebook, but on TeamSpeak, that Bobo Digest.
Yeah.
He asked me, so you're in charge of the entire LarpCraft thing, right? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you pretty much come up with stuff and you send it over to our tenant. He goes, yeah, that works, and we put it in. I'm like, no, switch that. But he kept saying, so you're in charge. I'm like, no, if there was ever a king and somebody said, Ronan, be the king, no. I don't want to be the king. I'll be like the general in charge of your armies, but I ain't going to be the king. No, you make the decisions. I'll go kill the people.
Yeah, it's progressed, really, really well, I think, so far. And having the new colonies coming on board, and
Australia,
and we got Ohio, Cincinnati, right there. And just today we had another colony sign up from Ontario, London, Ontario, Canada. So we got Canada now. And you were saying the other one from Florida was coming on board. I know that they were coming on. I mean, there's people just asking left and right how to get involved and how to be part of this community, because it is so interactive. And that's what we want to grow. We want to grow that community so we can get the big games and have the big community. So
we just want people out there playing the sport.
Yeah, pretty much.
So okay, you covered armor. Did you cover the one life band, no life band?
Yeah, we went through the no life band, and Lee did a good job of saying how it worked. It was different, but overall it was pretty well received, right? You said.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's a home run, and we just gotta.
So from what I remember reading on everything, the trophies thing.
Yeah, Joss was talking about that.
I think we're lagged out.
Yeah. No.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're lagging somewhat.
Yeah, bad.
Oh, we got server backups. Uh-oh. 7:00 must be the witching hour.
This is early. These server backups. Come on now.
Somebody outbid me on eBay. So what's next? What's another big thing that we're switching over, or not switching over, but
I'm having a hard time hearing us, so I'm guessing they are too, because they're all lagging out as well as we are.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Raise your hand if you can hear us.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Hello, Moto.
Hello, Moto.
Oh, I guess I could just check there.
Or there.
Or there.
Or there. Over there.
Hodor. The rule book going to an actual print publication is going to be a new thing. That's going to be neat. So you'll actually have an actual book. It's big enough now to where we can do that, and it's actually less expensive for us to print it through a publisher, through a printing company, than it is to make copies here. The poor copy machine. Oh, God rest its soul. I have way outdid our budget for
paper.
and ink. So it was time to move on to a new system. But unfortunately, that means the book system initially is going to be a lot more expensive because we have to stock some of that. It's not a print on demand, which also means the rulebook can't change on demand. Once a year.
Only. Finally.
So
You're telling me.
2 months later, we gotta change it. No.
But
Roads are overpowered.
No, that was a nightmare, man. The 3.0 to 3.5, I think the three of us were just ready to start strangling people because every time we turned around, it's this needs to be changed, or that's wrong, or there's a typo here.
I found a loophole.
Yeah.
which is
By
good.
the way,
We like that, but not.
No, we don't.
druids are overpowered. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Who's overpowered?
Druids.
Druids.
Yeah, they've been.
Still,
They've been.
you should have seen Rulebook 1.0.
Actually, it was like 2.5 when they were like, everybody's druids. What is this?
Oh, we changed everybody's else, but Druid gets everything.
Why are all the druids dying? Oh.
Hence why my wife is a druid now. She was like, I can overpower this class. Awesome.
You said something about a witch doctor class that you wanted
Yeah, we're going to be
talk
putting in witch doctors. That's going to be a neat class because some of that stuff doesn't fit.
Oh,
Witch doctors, I see the same thing, kind of like shamans.
yeah.
Yeah.
You just call it the same thing, only for whatever race it happens to apply to. So
It's basically we're given an alternative to the druid. Your druid's more balanced with nature, whereas your witch doctor is kind of a little bit of healing, a little bit of black magic. It's think of voodoo priest.
The other thing that we were trying to,
That reminds me, I got to call him my voodoo priest.
the one thing that we were trying to figure out too was the orc clerics.
I don't think.
That was a stretch. So
Yeah. Witch
witch
doctor.
doctor is better.
Yes.
So that we just needed something to fill that gap.
I don't.
Yeah.
Do we have any orc clerics?
you do now.
No.
Yeah, I think we do.
Cleric is not listed on the acceptable classes, so if you do, that's an oversight on your end.
I knew that there should
Clerics-
not be any orc clerics.
Orcs are the only race that cannot heal themselves.
Yeah. So that's the problem.
So that's what the witch
Well,
doctor
and
is.
then we put in the friar thing too. That friars can do resurrection. It's just the cost is ridiculous. So
Yeah, it is.
because it's it's a profession, not a class, so it's way higher. So again, witch doctor, I think we're going to give some of that stuff to them so we can kind of blend everything and
What?
make it.
What came of the demon class/race that we were doing at Esker that night? What were you? What did you guys ever come to a decision on that, or?
I don't think we've even discussed it.
Well, I think we play tested demon at the Worlds event to
Yeah, for like 20 minutes.
see if we could.
That's
move
when you
it.
went to bed. We tested it all night.
Yeah, we tested it like till the sun came up.
Came up,
See what happens when I go to bed?
Yeah,
Stuff happens that I'm not involved with.
stuff happens.
Disco ball drops.
Joss is like, you're coming out of the registration booth and you are playing. There's no, you have no choice in this matter at this point. You haven't played yet. You're coming out. So
Wouldn't let him sit there anymore.
we were going all the way through the night, and that was awesome. But
You
like
and,
Soul Strike, when Bort was coming in and the valiant warrior coming out, pitch
Bort-
dark.
Bort came out of the darkness. He was like, I don't care if I can't see my enemy. I don't care if he's stronger than me. He didn't know that we had 20 hit points each.
Yeah,
And,
3 Gravebanders. He comes up to 3 Gravebanders, and
He goes to
he gets
town.
me.
He
But-
goes to town. No,
He
he
did.
did really good. He did really well, especially when he was at his last life point. He knew it.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I'm soul striking these guys. He soul strikes me, and I looked at him, and he stopped and went, oh crap, and I stabbed him there, and he died, and
He's
he went
a
back to the
barbarian.
graveyard. Yeah,
Yeah, you guys disappeared. I had was right there at the gate of the orc camp.
What's left over of that gate?
Yeah.
But then you look over and you're like, Soul Strike doesn't work. Demons don't have souls.
Nope.
Like, we're
And
going to have to address that.
And so I went and told for it, but I was thinking, things like that, like a demon doesn't have a soul, so he's kind of immune to Soul Strike. It's a somewhat immersive, but I mean, would that affect other classes, things like that? I mean, to some degree.
Well, for the new colonies coming in, what we try to do with the rule book is for every ability, there's an equal and opposite disability to take it away. So the Soul Strike that's the answer to Soul Strike. Basically, that's the anti-Soul Strike is Demon.
And Demon can die from what, being healed maybe, or being
That's
resurrected?
what I was thinking. I would think that healing magic or healing anything against something evil, be it undead, be it against not vampires now, but against something like demons would actually harm them.
So we'll be talking about that in the scrolls. And
what if it's I'm just spitballing, but I mean it's kind of like, I'm referencing the movie Ghost Rider. At the end, he couldn't do a stare on him because he was a demon, didn't have a soul, but he put like the souls into him. What if there was something like that specifically for to work against demons? To give them,
I think,
or a heart or something that would make them feel the pain, or something.
That'd be an NPC kind of.
Well, no, even that could be done now under the rules. You've got resurrection for one, can do it, or you've got the Draken's possession ability. They literally port a soul from another dimension into the body.
Yeah, it says it right in the
description. Yeah, that would work.
That would promote Draken growth pretty quickly because you would need them to fight demons pretty much.
Which is what
ironic.
From what I remember in the lore of them that has been lost. That has that's what their main.
There's a reason I'm not a Draken anymore.
Right. That's their main bad guy. Dragons go against demons. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was the whole thing. They took demons or a humanoid demon race, blended it with the souls of dragons to combat a demonic horde at some crazy mage's whim.
I'd like a complete and total rework of the magic system.
But
no, Matt, we can get rid of magic. That'd be okay with me.
Oh no, I don't want to get rid of it. I just want to completely rework it. Take out about half the spells.
Easier to remember.
Like root and stronghold.
No, I don't have to worry about root.
But again, coming back to let's pretend elders now are watching this 3 years from now and everything's like, whoa, way refined compared to what we're talking about now. But what's important?
Or completely broken.
Yeah. What's important about it now is that people understand that we use the community to come up with the right answers, and then we vote on it. So, the group has the power. It's not one writer saying, this is how it's going to be. Much.
I like it.
Unless
I like that a lot.
Something that has to get stomped, but yeah, for the most part, everybody votes. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out a way to promote the more evil races, to become evil races without getting honed by the good races. Now in my colony right now, I'm an orc. I'm not a good orc. I'm not a green orc. I'm a blood orc, and I'm going to kill whatever else is stronger than me that I can find. So that kind of promotes the chaos, but I'm good sometimes if I'm not hungry. So I can play either way, and I want to both promote both ways so that we have an equal amount of undead or vampires or demons or just as much as we have humans and elves and dwarves and whatever.
You bring up a very good point. I mean, how many people other than I can't really even count how many right off the top of my head.
I think like 4.
Less than 5 that actually have made a undead character.
Yeah, we've shunned it so much in the rulebook.
I mean, it just
on purpose, so that way new players don't automatically get beat to death on their first game. Because a level a 0 level undead is
Big target.
pretty hard to do anything with them. If you got a lot of experienced players in the game.
And as our tribe, as our orc tribe, we've kind of put off undead. We don't care about those guys. We don't. I mean, they're dead. Woo, no honor in dead. So, kind of to promote undead growth or bad player growth. I'd like to see a lot more evil characters unlike the next.
Isn't that kind of what we are?
Well, that's the thing, because any race that we have, then you don't have to be good. You can be an evil dwarf. You can be an evil human.
But how do we just give them? How do we promote this quality then? How do we end game? Do we just start forcing choices in games to make them go whatever direction they happen to be?
I know exactly what you're talking about. There's too much buddy out there.
Yeah, there's too much of it, I guess.
may be at fault for that because the only evil race that's in the book is undead. And
sorry, go ahead.
Instead of writing in more races, why don't we just? I'm going to get crap for saying this, but let's just take out that undead have to be evil. Here's my reason for it, because I know.
How dare you?
Like Blas Del Monte, my main favorite alt that I can never play because I just
warm bodies.
Tomatoes.
His living rulebook 2.5. When did we do undead? You had to have a living character that died to be undead originally. You couldn't just start an undead. You had to write a story, get it approved. It was a big process. So,
which is, I think, another reason that a lot of people are turned away from.
Well, but we don't have to do that anymore now. They can actually just be undead, can't they? Can they?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it still in there? You have to have a living character before you can be undead.
No, that was taken out of the rule book before I joined.
All right. So, Blas Del Monte's Bartholomew.
That posting even still there? Because I thought
it's still there as a reference, and you can't read it because it's all garbled. No, I think you can read it. You can read his story and his profile. But what I'm getting at is the tragedy of becoming undead. You've come to you're either tricked into it, you're backed into it, or you're never doing it for a good reason.
Unless you become a Death Knight.
Well, so a lot of the time, these drama characters is what I see it as, aren't necessarily evil. They're just living through all this pain. And, why make it where all other races can be evil, but undead can't be good?
Yeah, There's got to be some way to balance that. I mean, make undead have the choice, but then the characters figure out from a role play standpoint whether or not they agree with an undead sitting next to them at dinner time. Because what is an undead going to eat? He's not going to sit down and eat a bowl of soup. Oh yes, I'm eating my bowl of soup. I'm an undead. No, he's going to freaking be like, you smell good. Give me your hand. Ah,
Are you going to use that arm?
But I think we should probably take it out of the rule book about the evil thing. We'll make a reference to it, but not mandate it like it is now.
I think a simple wording like, we've already got it in there that they're animated from dark magic. And that fact alone, you've got paladins out there, you've got other people that try and walk a lighter path that are going to abhor the fact that they're propelled by dark magic. But aside from that, let the role play develop on its own. I agree. I mean, there's been a lot of debates here. Joss and myself, we've taken the concept of orc and we're going different from anybody else in the system. And we're actually catching flack from the other orcs because of it.
Good, then it's working.
What I was going to say was that thing that I wrote up, the kind of the timeline. There was actually a group of undead that broke away from the main evil bad.
I don't think they can see that though. I think that's still in the Overlord scroll. No, it's a private. It's a private conversation.
I can.
They're lagging. You know.
Okay, I'm sorry if somebody was talking, but there's a group that formed in Aladon.
You sit here.
Oh, I can't sit here. Okay. Round and round and round we go. Round and... But anyway, and now we're back. They broke away, and they're the ones that formed the undead, I want to say colony, but the undead realm in Aladon.
Yeah. I'm losing it. No, I don't have it.
I can hear you good.
Okay,
It's
I can
good.
hear it.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily aligned with the. I call them the Elven Kings of old, that go out there and then reanimated a bunch of people and sent them out to kill people.
So when you're seeing this 3 years from now and wondering what the hell, the world lore is just being introduced in 4.0. It took us till 4.0 to figure out world lore enough to where we had to have enough colonies in place to have enough of a backstory to make it work. So,
and with that, I can let everybody know that I'm stopping it at like 5,000 years ago. So you can write it from 5,000 on when your own colony.
So we just take a time portal and come to Esker. You know, we have our mage open a time rift, and we drive our magic school bus through it and come visit.
No, we're all on the same day, but going back from 5,000 years ago back is what I've written.
Right.
And it's just the major events.
right.
You know, I think we should probably actually go ahead and put that in the Elder Scrolls just so they can see what we're working on. Because I've got an example there where I took my colony lore and built it off of what Ronan posted. And I actually took it a little bit further. I think I went back, like 16,000 years or something?
Yeah, because that's where I put the first vampires. That's
Right.
when Kandalahar fell. It was like
And that's where
16,000 years ago.
That's basically where my colony started, was as refugees from that travesty. Good night, buddy. We're
Good night, Daddy.
Oh, it's so sweet.
but yeah, it's basically my colony was founded by the survivors of that plague. So, yeah.
It's a cool way to tie in all that backstory.
Yeah, I would appreciate being able to see it, and kind of be able to form, because what I've got right now is just spitballed in my head of like the present day, in order to be able to have a history of what happened before Erikar was born,
Like I said, it's just the big major events. It's nothing like, this is what happened at Esker this year, or this is what happened at Maywood at this year, or this is what happened at Avron in this year. No, it's not like that. It's like,
It jumps. It's not like 12 pages. It did a good job of trying to keep
it's
it
vague,
moving.
but give you enough information to play with.
Right. Just enough to make your lore, but not enough to where you're bored to tears.
Yeah, but
I don't want somebody spending 4 days reading it going,
Right.
damn.
4 days later, a cup of coffee, they're like, okay, I'm done. That was a good game. Okay.
What are we doing today, Jim? We're reading the lore.
All day.
All day.
Yeah. Hey, you might actually want to. I think you wanted to touch on that, Ryan. Was that when you're writing lore for your colonies, really, when you're first starting out, all you need is a good paragraph or two outlining maybe a couple past events, a couple current events, something, and build off of that in your games. Like what I was talking about, where I've got the backstory written. I'm actually I'll leave it there for an example for you guys, the Elder team, but that's not something that I'm publishing for my players. That's something that I'll be building my events off of, kind of a behind-the-scenes look.
Yeah, we've noticed that colonies see some of the lore that's out there, and they're like, whoa, I got to come up with all this stuff. And you don't. In fact, when you kind of screw yourself when you do, because then you're not living it, you're being dictated. That's being dictated to the player, not living through it like it should be. So, Like I said, a few paragraphs and just, give enough meat in the story to give you some stuff for the first few games of why it relates, and then it takes off from there.
Yeah, a lot of people look at the lore and they're going, oh, well, I have to follow this. No. You don't have to. It's just there for your reference. Wherever you are, your colony is going to take a different path than, say, that other one.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much what I've done. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, I don't think I've referenced any of y'all's lore in mine as of yet. It's mainly just pretty much what it is I started with Eric Carr's biography, and he was in this one area, and it's just pretty much how he got from there to where him and a group of refugees founded Candlemar in Blackwater Colony, and that's pretty much where I'm going to end that, But then I'm going to take that story and kind of roll into how the Order of the Ranger, the faction I was starting, and that was pretty much it. Everything else after that, I was leaving open to players.
That's good. That's a good way to leave it open like that, and allow them to develop it as they see fit.
Yeah.
The problem with a lot of writers, and we still have this today, I even don't do it right, and neither do you a lot of times. We play a game, and we're supposed to write up our summary after the game.
Ronan killed stuff.
I have yet to see a summary from either of you.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a summary from either of you.
Started to write one. I'm just as guilty. I started to write one for Esker. I still need to post that. I know.
And you, all of you need to write a summary for Esker. I went and wrote a summary for Esker. Come on now.
I did, but I typed it up on my phone, and then I hit submit, and I hit a dead spot, and it was hanging forever, so I just canceled out and never posted, and I said, screw it.
Oh.
Okay, so let's...
I think we should probably put some kind of incentive, because players aren't doing it.
No,
unless you're Joss. Joss is the only one who does it.
I'm pushing for everybody to do it for my last event, and nobody's done it. So, yeah, I'm right there with you.
We're going to have to come up, post some ideas in the other scrolls on some ideas. Maybe Ufna or Joss, if you're in the scrolls right now, jam up a thread that just says, something about motivation to post after an event of their story. Pomegranate, he does a good job of putting his journals in there. Now, our main NPC, forget his character name, but he started following suit to Palmgren's. He's very well written, and they're great stories. And some of it, it's like, okay, well, you're posting it from like 3 colonies away, and now where do you put your journal entry? Where do you put the summary? Is it in the scroll of where you were, or is it in your scroll of your colony that you normally play it?
I would say the scroll of where you normally play it.
Yeah, and that's where I thought too, but I don't know. I really, basically just to get it written and get it out there is the most important part. So
I'm going to put it in just an Elder General for now, so I'm going to post that in there right now. I'll do it. I'm working on it. So continue.
Okay, the vampire thing.
Yeah, we're going to be moving vampire from a subclass or subrace of undead to their own race. They're going to have their own specific lore. Again, back to Gandalhar. There's a history of what happened and how it happened that explains it in detail of how the vampire came about. And it's unique. I mean, it's pretty unique. It touches other lore, but it's we try to write it so that it's original as we can make it, and something that's very workable. As there's so many possibilities with this new lore that you're going to have a lot of fun spinning it the way you want to spin it.
Well, not only that, but vampires aren't going to be confined to, again, the whole evil thing.
Mm-hmm. I think that's going to definitely change the dynamic of Myths and Legends as a whole system when we take that evil tidbit out completely.
Let the players decide to be evil. Absolutely.
Right.
I'm a good Death Knight.
You're a good Death Knight.
It just doesn't even roll off the tongue correctly. Good Death Knight.
Yeah, I'm really good.
Well, I mean, if you're maybe an incentive type thing for, like an alignment type thing, kind of like the Fable game series, you go bad, you get, maybe the local poison dealer charges you less if you're an evil character, or if you're good, you get discount on health potions or something from the local healer.
Maybe we could implement some form of alignment system.
Well, I don't think you want to do it as a rules, not in the rule book, but as a said, hey guys, elders, kind of promote your players to be bad. Get some balance.
Or the factions and the guilds and that kind of thing are going to take. They're going to be primarily either for good or for evil or for themselves or for something, and that's going to help.
Except us.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, you got good. You got Iron Ring, which are good.
No.
And then
Oh, they don't know us too well, do they?
Because that's we don't play.
We don't play. We show up, go, hi everybody, you go play. We be here doing admin stuff.
Lose half the frickin' group.
Yeah.
No more food at events.
No more food.
Bring your food. Just bring your own.
In your armpit. I got pizza.
Dude, Ronan's cooking was bomb. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't know. Every time I went there, his bowls were empty.
Well, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff changing. There's a lot of stuff happening, and we are really refining the system down to where, gosh, if you looked at Rulebook 2.0 as opposed to 4.0, oh my God, it's shameful.
But the good part is we're not adding a whole lot of stuff.
Right. It's not major changes now. Now it's every little change is a major change because everybody's got to tweak something. So that's good that we got the main core stuff out of the way. Thank God. And now we can just, a major change would be like, well, this is still a pretty major change because, I mean, we're changing how undead work now. We're changing how vampires work. We're adding witch doctor. The armor system's changing. The life band system's changing. I mean, it is a 3.5 to 4.0. I mean, that's
not 3.6. Yeah.
I would probably think 4.5 will not be that dramatic. Let's hope.
I hope there is.
Don't even no.
4.5. It never goes past 4.
I've got three phrases, 3 sentences on 3 different things that I will address as time comes along that we can do that. Just like the armor sentence I had the one time. Hey, Artinin, what do you think about this? And you were like, well, I never thought about it that way. And I was like, what are we gonna do about this? And then it turned into a nasty debate on forums.
Yeah, that's crazy because I'd been running it the exact same way, and yeah, here we are. It's one of the biggest changes going into 4.0. So awesome.
Because we just never talked about global, local, global.
So just to make sure I'm on the same page as everybody, there is no permanent death anymore.
Yes, there is permanent death.
Okay, well, last time I heard there wasn't.
Well, I'm afraid of you, so we can't.
It's player option.
Player option, A or B player stupid who doesn't want to spend experience or money to resurrect himself. Or doesn't want to be an NPC. If you really don't want to do the work to come back to life, then I'm not bringing you back to life, and you're going to stay dead.
Right. All right. The way we're writing it in, I believe the final vote was if you die during the game and you cannot find a healer, you're either going to go to an elder and NPC for a few hours to earn your life. At the end of the event, if you die, or are still dead, rather, haven't been resurrected, then you're either going to take a coin or experience penalty, or both, which is the elder's call on what they're going to penalize you with. I'm going to strip you everything you would have earned that day because you're dead. Or you take permanent death.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing.
Yeah, okay, so it's player decided, but, I mean...
We're giving them the option of...
Well, if your character dies, then what's the point of, we can strip you of everything or you can die. Well, if I die, what's the... Maybe they wanted to kill that character off.
That's what I posted following. Why don't we give quests for the dead? For if you're dead, there's certain things you can do or certain quests you can take, but that also puts a strain on you. Yeah, spirit quest. That way, it puts a strain. You're like, oh, I've been doing all these spirit quests. You're like, oh my god, the event's gonna be over in an hour. Find a rest point. I mean,
Yeah, I
but
can see that. I can go with that.
Yeah, see, that's awesome. But at the end of the event, what do we do? I mean, do we continue to, like I said, you either take an XP penalty or you permanently lose that character?
I'm old
Yeah, but
school.
that's up
If
to
you're
them.
dead and the game's over, you're dead. Body cannot be resurrected. You're dead.
Because
But that's just me.
you have the whole game too. You do have the whole game to go find an elder and go, look, I can't get resurrected. Somebody stole the res point. I don't know where it's at. Let me NPC for a few hours, or I'll pay you now an experience for a few hours to get resurrection. I mean, you have the whole time to go find an elder because there's a couple of them running around and say, hey, bring me back to life. I need help. You know, if you cannot find the spawn point, if the elder knows, oh yeah, somebody stole the spawn point and it's in a chest outside of a camp somewhere.
I can definitely
let me
see
throw
somebody
this-
running around with a sword on their head and there's an elder.
What was it?
Well, let me throw this wrench into gears. What if it's, let's say, it's the 2-minute warning. You're on the 1 yard line. You know, somebody comes up, you're dead right there at the end of the game. I mean, is that the same thing? I mean, like if you only have like a couple minutes left.
Yeah, the elders are going to be able to call those kind of cheap shots at the end of the game. And if you know that you can't just spank somebody just before the end of the game because the elders are probably not going to allow it, or like they're not going to kill the character off, there's going to, you know, that's pretty unsportsmanlike, out of character.
Yeah.
And just spank somebody like that. So that's going to be an elder call. By the time if somebody dies, they've done screwed up big time and they died.
Yeah.
If the elders allow the death to happen, the way we're rewriting life, there's no less than 20 different instances where you could definitely come back to life.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, see, the reason I was throwing that out there is because I think a lot of times we're grown men and ladies, you know, we're talking about sportsmanship with each other, but I've noticed a lot on the forums lately, and I think Artena has mentioned it, you know, with problem posters and stuff like that, you're getting more and more of like 13, 14, 15-year-olds who aren't going to always show the best judgment. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be the sportsman every time. Yeah, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, like,
Let them go.
I mean, like, I could see. I mean, I have a cousin. He was 13, and he's pretty self-centered. You know, I could see somebody like that coming out, you know, wanting to be bad A, you know, with their equipment and all, ganking another kid. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I was. The concern I was having was wanting to address that was because, you know, if you got two 13-year-olds, you know, they're not the best skilled, they're not the best sword fighters in the world. You know, if you got one that's a bad sportsman, you know, and it kills the other one, you know, I just wanted to address that to make sure that it was okay to let in that kind of situation and let them have that life back, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you call it. You see how the player plays throughout the game. I mean, I'll refer to Esker. Nobody there, as far as I ever saw, was a bad sport about anything. And especially if their group is such, I mean, most people kind of fall into suit, even if they are a little self-centered. Because I am self-centered, and I fell into suit, you know, with people battling and fighting and things. Because I don't mind. I'll run off and kill somebody. I'll just go kill them. I don't care. You know, I like fighting. I love combat. But then you do have to take into account that guy was being a jackass the entire game. You know, maybe you need to talk to him as elder and be like, hey, you know, it's not just about being Billy Badass the whole time. You need to,
To quote Spock, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the needs of the one.
I don't know if we continued or finished the discussion about the permission to touch thing. I know it's a given between Sash players.
Yeah, that's what I understood anyway.
My thought was if you put, because it does, to me, it breaks immersion. After you slay somebody, they're laying on the ground, you have to walk up to them, permission to touch, So if there was something in the waiver that you signed at the place, it says, by signing this, you're,
And we can do that for somebody 18 or older, but I don't
that's what I'm saying.
do that. We can't do that for anybody that's a minor.
Yeah.
We're looking at
I'm
you,
not saying
Ryan.
I'm giving permission to, fondle.
We're looking at the entrance guy here.
I can see for 18 or older on the waiver, if they're signing their own waiver, a little checkbox saying, I hereby consent to permission to touch at all events,
you're gonna get a swamp ton of crap for doing that. It opens you up to.
This is Pandora's box.
If we were in any other country besides the USA, I would say have at her. But even with a legal waiver signed, we don't want to go there.
Okay, different scenario. I'm on a quest. I have to find you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to return you alive, uninjured. How do I'm touching you. You have to go with me. Now I'm touching you. You have to go with me.
You ran into that at that game with the Druid girl, right?
Exactly.
Yep. And if this was a you can touch anybody game, she wouldn't have been there. And I know we'll lose quite a few players because, dude, I don't want some weirdo touching me. You know, I want to explore this game, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I watch the videos. It's a good time. But I don't want to be manhandled.
Okay, well, what I'm getting at, if you don't want to put in the thing with the thing, that's fine.
I am too pretty.
Exactly. But what I'm getting at is there has to be some kind of wording in the rule book that says if you don't want like it with I'm just doing that to mess with them. If I'm going to be like I'm going to be tying you up or something, and you say no, you can't touch me, you have to actually be like I am, bound.
Yeah.
Because you can't touch a person with yellow band, so I'm not touching where the rope is.
We did that with the Druid last game, and she said no, and we said yes. She said no. Ronan throws the rope, and it lands on top of her. I'm like, you can't do that. The immersion was already broken when she said no. It was blatantly obvious when it happened.
Right. It was one of those things where you couldn't, because you couldn't physically touch her to bind her hands or whatever, even in role play where you're not cinching it down, cutting off circulation, which I wanted to do kind of, but it's like, okay, your hands are bound. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was about when she said that the first time. Should have been when we go, all right.
Elder call.
Let me take you aside. You guys keep playing. Let's go through this one more time. That would have been the best way to do that. And
no, you just bashed your head in.
Yeah,
whatever works.
But
after the wheels were turning for about 30 minutes,
I had to sit there for quite a while, be like, how can I do this? How can I do this?
But that's what I'm getting at. That's we saw it happen.
Right. The best way to do something like that is take them aside. We can't just assume touch all the time. There's going to be the permission to touch until you're sashed. Just to save the grief of the colonies from coming into lawsuits that they do not want to be touching.
I think with that, there needs to be direct elder intervention pretty much right away. If they're an NPC and you're like, hey, they're supposed to neutralize you, you pull them like, hey, they're supposed to neutralize you. So, nobody's going to touch you anyway. I'm an elder. I'm here. I'm watching. If so, we'll ban them from the game, whatever. But just, go with it as an NPC, please.
Right.
If they don't want to, then find somebody else that can do the job.
And if they're going to be, if they're going to be kind of a butthead about it, say, okay, then you're going to be in a tavern. I'm going to put you in an NPC role. You're going to be somewhere where you're not going to have that kind of interaction. And if they don't like it, then they can leave.
Then they can leave because
that's you don't have time to sit there and be like, I'm going to, oh please, do this. No. You got 20 other players. Let them go if they're going to be that kind of a player.
That's the way it has to be. You have to be stern about it. You have to make an example of somebody eventually. Well, they're going to do it. They're going to push you.
In her defense, she didn't. It was her very first time doing it. Right. So it wasn't her. It was, I have to say, our lack in being able to explain.
We haven't had to do it in so long that it's like, I don't know. But that also, and again, this elder meeting has gone, but we should do, and we talked about this too, we should do more elder training videos. We should do,
Please.
you know, when you come into this bad example, here's the best way to handle it. Here's how not to handle it. And here's how a lot of people handle it.
How not to handle it. Physical violence.
Yeah. Now, when does the role play Sash players, are they really beating the crap out of each other? Oh, crap! You know?
Just a heads up, we will be on next Esker. Upnar and I will actually probably be doing the Ring of Blood in the Cothmore camp. So if you do see us fighting, it's okay. But yeah, we'll be simulating that. But
and we've had simulated battles games where, I mean, we had elders rushing up.
What are you guys doing?
Like, no, it's we're still acting, but
that was a gamble.
The you know, players who are going to be sashed, who may encounter each other for the first time, it may go beyond role play. You know, they won't know how to turn their character off, and they won't know how to step out of their character if they had to. So those are things from an elder standpoint that we try to watch and try to, between games when you're doing, you know, general sessions, to talk about that. How do you separate your character? Because we've had people in such depth in their character, they bring the hatred or the liking of whatever happened in the game into the real world, and that always happens.
Oh yeah, no, you can kill that. I mean, you know, experiences you can deal with, but I'm talking like me and you know Lee here. We play Upnar Gordrax every day. I mean, we work
every day.
Play every day. I mean, end of story. We're always in character, nearly every day. I mean, we're back and forth. I'm like walking into an office somewhere, and I'm like, you know, Gordrax shut off heads, and I walk in the door, boom, and I'm me again. You know, but I don't know. How do you explain that to somebody? You know, how do you take them to that level without them, you know, going kind of crazy with it?
Frey, how do you do it?
I have a hard time getting him in character, man. Come on, Ryan, talk it up.
He's always quiet.
I know.
Because I'm always in character.
I have a hard time getting you out of it.
I do it.
No, want to know my secret? I'm always angry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still have a hard time really getting in character. It's, you know, I just, like, I went to a lot of Ren fairs. I don't have a lot of a background in role play. So I mean, it's tough for me. Like, even at our last event, they were talking, and you know, like, people, I didn't.
Oh,
you know, it's
Josh just got done telling them that we're never out of character.
Oh, it's something I need to work on. You know, I'm trying to. That's why it's.
I think you did a great job at Esker. You were in character to me. I mean, as far as I could see. I mean, I never saw you break character ever, except like when I bought life bands from you the first night. I mean, I was like, "Hey, you sell life bands? Sweet."
Are you kidding me? I irritated them. I stayed in character the whole way home, dude.
I answered people at the airport, the TSA in character. One lady was like going to take my sword from me. I was like, "No, you're not taking my sword." You know, I was like, "You not take sword." I mean, yeah, you can't have that. It's okay. I passed DFW. You can't. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It's on a single day event. It's a lot easier to pull out a character, but once you've been in that character for 3-4 days straight, yeah, it's really hard to remember who you are.
I find it harder to get into character.
Yeah, there's a transition to get in if you have to, if you're not. There's a process.
You don't practice your characters enough. It's what it boils down to, man. Joss and I could turn it on and off like that.
What you say, Sarah?
Ah.
So, I mean...
To make fun of us.
I probably.
So,
that's okay.
We're poor role players.
No.
Whatever.
Do not insult the overlords.
Whatever.
The mighty banhammer will fall from on high.
I'll make you a banhammer to swing at me
Red
if you
lightning.
really want one.
He's got one, man. I got to swing it at him. Are you kidding me? That thing was awesome.
You know, and you guys
People show up at their door.
at the Worlds event, you didn't even get to see R10 actually come out. You had to be officialer guy. And at the Midlands event after that, I got to actually play R10 and crazy-eyed, weirdo, off his rocker R10.
Yes.
And Frederick came up to me and he's like, that was, whoa. Like, that was the weirdest, strangest stuff. And finally I got to actually be in character. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay, so that brings us to a good point. Streamlining registration. Jesus, for you at least. I mean,
Yes.
Personally,
I hurt watching you guys at Esker. I hurt inside watching you. I forced you to go freaking fight with me, to go trash camps as a demon.
I think it'd be real easy. You get people that are going to come in, pre-register, have a laptop there, have a spreadsheet, have their names, you have their coin counts and everything. Bam, 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 bam.
The major problem with the last event was I was not prepared enough. The quests like most of the time, ask him. I am usually prepared a week in advance.
At least.
I will have everything completely done. I will have everything. And if these guys are late to anything for 5 minutes, I'm freaking out because I have to have it done. So by the time the players get there, it's bam, 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 go. Because you don't have any time to do it when people are there.
We had at least 30, 40, maybe even up to 60 quest items out there.
That are still out there. So
They were all over the realm. And at the end of the event, I'm like, I'm not going to go pick them up.
Just save those scrolls. They'll be good and ancient looking come next year.
They're going to be, some of them are hidden to the point, and again, that's a unique location. You can't do that in a public park, or you can't do it, if you don't have permission for that kind of thing. But
anyway, back to streamlining registration.
I believe that there's even, how long have I been saying the registration list registration? I've always wanted to do that. It's been like a fantasy of mine. I'll wake up with cold sweats. Like
The day after Esker, you were like, that's it. No more. You're not getting in unless you're pre-registered. Because I'm not sitting in that damn little building the entire day.
I mean, that's a good thing to start. I mean, really, charge them extra for not pre-registering. I mean, seriously, if you're going to come to an event late, A or B, not registered at all, I'm going to charge you money for my time to sit there and be out of game when I could be doing NPC things or getting players on quests or moving the event along.
Right.
I mean, that takes away from everybody.
It is exactly
token,
because
you got a busload of people that aren't pre-registered that will be your next golden apple. 5 of those people are going to bring 20 more people. Do you turn them away? Do you make it very hard to register? That's always the double-edged sword right there.
If that's the case, then you have to have one designated person.
That's what I always suck at. I can't delegate to my elders enough responsibilities. I take it all myself, and I just go crazy because I can't manage it all.
So you don't have faith in them to do it.
it's exactly because of your fiasco with the registration at Esker that I started the website for myself, and I've gotten a couple other colonies that have. If you guys haven't seen it, I've got a posting about putting your colony on the interwebs, setting up a very simple, very basic website where you can set up PayPal to do pre-registrations. I used it for my last event. Everybody except for 2 didn't pre-registered, and the 2 that didn't ended up stiffing me on the money anyway. But we're not going to go into that.
No play.
Yeah, we're not going to.
No play. That's pretty simple, don't you think?
I would think so. Yeah.
They may bring back 5 people and a bunch load of 20.
What's in my car? Well, there's your car. Go get it.
It's your golden apple.
Right.
Shut up, Arteta.
Freaking
But
paladins.
it works. It works great. It really does. If you can pre-register, just having that budget, having that money in an account right there, you can buy props, you can buy food, without having to dip into your own pockets. That makes a world of difference in what you can put together.
Prepping beforehand is the key, and like I'm going to say it, like Sephirus said, the the Elder Scrolls are now full of that stuff. He posted a good how to do it, how to get that stuff done and use those scrolls, because there's so much stuff in there, and I apologize that there's going to be more. We just got to better organize some of it. Utilize that to have home run games. We've had home run games like, we'll sit down at the end of the game and be like, that was the best freaking game we've ever done. Everything went off like without a hitch. And the things that
games.
Yeah, where it's like a total train wreck. And they're like back to back sometimes.
Clusters.
Yeah, how did we miss that? What did we do?
Oh, you were stuck in a little red building.
Yeah. For the biggest event of our lives,
Hey, look, more people here than we've ever had.
Hey, you know what? Even if it was a fiasco from an administration standpoint, dude, people are still talking about it. I'm still talking about it. Esker was absolutely amazing. I took so much from it, and if it weren't for having gone to Esker, I guarantee you All Hallows Eve this past weekend wouldn't have been what it was. Frey and I both learned a lot. And yeah.
And then the Eludia guys from Paris, Tennessee came up, the St. Louis, and those guys seem to also have been struck by lightning in some regards. That just the interaction that they got and the diversity, and when you start traveling between colonies, it's awesome. It's just awesome. And
I think the one thing they really liked, I started mandating, like, everybody, if you went to the tavern, even if you'd paid for the feast, you still had to pay game coin. You had to buy your drinks. You had to buy your food. People loved that.
Yeah, well, I kind of fell through on that a little bit.
Well, again, we had too much we were doing and not enough. And what was really cool is that Esker, we saw the groups just kind of taking off. And what was neat was all the groups that were managing their own, camps were all either elders or had played other games to where they've managed their own LARPs before. So, I mean, all of them were well capable of running mini games inside the game anyway, which is what was happening. And we we always talked about it being that way, that eventually you set up the games and the games take over. It finally happened. The games took over. And if people don't write their lore at the back end, or they don't write their experiences and their character, there's no way to know what happened. You're going to lose it all. All of those events are lost.
I've seen that from my standpoint. I hear y'all talking, the game was great and all, and I'm trying to look people's stories up after the game and all, see what happened, and there's just not hardly any of it. And I'm like, man, what happened there that I missed,
Yeah, I saw that word camp once when I was in PC.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's neither here nor there what we're talking about. We're supposed to be getting back to the subject of how to streamline
registration
and checkout.
Oh, yeah, checkout, yeah.
Checkout's harder. Registration's kind of, if you pre-register and you bring your stuff, I wanted to do registration in character, in game. So basically, like, you pull up the old chest and you give them their stuff.
No, I just had an itch.
I kind of did something similar to that for our registration. I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean, and when Jack Sparrow just kind of walked up onto the pier, guys there with a scroll, name and state your business or whatever, wrote his name down. That's going to be 5 crowns, and he went on his way. Something kind of like that. It's essentially what it was. They told us who they were. We wrote it down.
You flip the registration over for him. You flip over the waiver and say, "Sign here, please."
Right.
Flip it back.
Same thing where they're signing up the people to join the ship.
Right. And when they came up to the tavern, you know, I made them all present your papers, you know, so that we can award you accordingly. And it was, we tried to keep it as much in character as possible. I mean, some things, it was billed as a low immersion. The guys from Eludia aren't as used to being, or as much role play. They're just now starting to develop that. I mean, the guys that came up, they did a great job. The only thing they really lacked on was maintaining that, which that comes with practice, you know. But what I did for closing out to streamline that, I just wrote down literally on a piece of parchment, wrote down everything they turned in. When we did the quests, they turned those in periodically throughout the day. I had somebody at the tavern. They turned in the quest there. We wrote the character name on the scroll. We had a coin payout and an XP payout. I gave them the coin immediately. You know, thank you for your services. And after the event, I'm sitting at home. That's when I'm flipping through the scrolls looking, all right, they completed that. And I did my submission that way.
As you did it gradually through the game. You didn't do it all at once at the end and get bombarded.
Right. And it made, I think my actual sign out took all of 10 minutes, average about a minute a person, you know, maybe a little less. It was just coin counts, if they had any profession mats to turn in, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I do too many. Can't turn it until the end of the game type thing because I want it to be as lootable for as long as possible. But I do it for everything. I don't. Yeah, I should mix that up a little bit. No.
Well, I mean, for something like Esker, I mean, the realm is so large. It's amazed me that people won't get looted, but there wasn't any real PvP there, so nobody was looting anybody.
And that's what aggravates me so much. I want PvP. I want people killing other people.
Just wait till Esker.
Just wait, Ronan.
Just wait.
Just wait. We've got you something, baby. We got you something.
I miss PvP. Oh, look, we're all here together, and we're all in a giant group, and we're going to be here. Friends! No.
I'm going to bite your
and kill
hand
somebody.
I think that's probably going to be something that new colonies have to watch out for, is everybody's going to band together because nobody knows a lot of that stuff. Do some basic preliminary lore and roleplay stuff before a game.
My thing was, at Esker, because we had such a limited, and that's a stretch, number of NPCs, that if there was more PvP, it would have, in my mind, it would have been a lot more going on.
Yeah, when you get bored, go out and kill somebody at random. See what happens.
Nobody does it.
I could never find people on the trails. I mean, I went out with the Orc Horde, nobody. I went out by myself, nobody. I went out with Frey, Revla, and I went out with, my fairy. I didn't get nobody. The trails were empty, dude, during the day. And at night, like, everybody band together at the tavern. So I'm like, I got to think of some really nasty NPC. I'm going to go hit Ryan up, and I'm going to kill some folks. I want to kill somebody. I'm like, I'm in the Blood Moon Cave. They're like, oh, they're allies. We can't kill them. I'm like, let me kill them, please.
I know. That was killing me.
He comes in. I got to kill him. We got to do something. Let's go. Mix it up. Yeah. He was just jumping out of his skin. Like, all right, let's go do something. Let's go rattle some cages.
How do we get the people? But this is going back to Esker. This is not what we're supposed to be discussing. So how would be a good way to streamline the registration process, other than having mandatory?
Well, there was, when we did the world game, almost everybody pre-registered. It was just me not having everything ready in time, and everybody didn't show up. Literally, people were showing up all the way until some people were already checking out.
Wow.
So it was literally, I'm still checking people in. Oh, I got to leave now. Oh, that's literally putting somebody in a hut for the entire weekend.
So do you do just just tell them, hey, if you don't get in by this time, you're gonna have to wait? Or I mean, how do you?
Well, I mean, is the registration and pre-registration the same price?
For Esker, it wasn't. It was higher cost if you didn't pre-register.
Okay. Now, because I know a lot of the activities that get put on around in Pensacola, that's how it does. This is the price at the door. This is the price if you get your tickets now. But a lot of them, sometimes they'll also do, if you get here by this time, you could still claim the discounted price. Or not so much as, if it's $10 for this, $5 for the $5 pre-register. But if you show up before this certain time on entry day, it's $8. So you still get a few bucks counted off, but you don't get quite as much if you pre-registered.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that if you can implement that, that's good.
Was it Gordax up there?
Joss. That one, that's Joss. Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. I'm with him. I honestly say registration is between this time and this time. If you're not there, dude, that's so sad.
LARPers are always late. LARPers are always late. Nobody's.
That's so sad.
How do you do that? I can't turn people away.
Then I'll run the registration.
Too sweet.
I like them all.
We will never have any more attendance.
No. Where did all the people go? I turned them all away. They were not here.
Jordan was in charge of registration. Hey, let's the three of us go play. I'm just locking up. Oh, I'm here to play the game.
Go ahead, Frey.
I was going to say, wasn't there an idea that someone had put out about, if everybody pre-registered, you could just have all of their, all their contact, their info sheet, and everything in their coin just in an envelope, so when they get there, you just hand that out to them instead of having to count the coins out individually as they come?
That's what I was saying. The chest would be all full of envelopes. You pull their name, it's like will call. You just give them the envelope. Have fun.
But if you do that, then you have to give them all of their coin that they have on their profile. Because then when they get there, they can't go, oh, I have 5 gold and 20 silver. I just want 10 silver for the game.
Yeah, that's.
I gave up using the banking system.
Yeah. What changed is we also have the loot chests now. We have loot chests, so it kind of takes away from the banking system. Like, you don't have to do the banking system now.
There's your bank.
Because you got a loot chest, and if you don't lock it, and you don't enchant it, or you don't poison it, or you don't do something to it, well, it's your fault. You didn't get I could easily go, hey, Ronan, you got your loot chest. I forgot mine. I'll just put it in yours. Okay.
I know we're both screwed.
Well, most of the time.
Do you realize how much gold I have? I don't want to put all that in the chest and leave it out at night.
That's right. It's mine.
So.
No.
Don't. All right. Do we have any questions from any of them? We're getting a lot of good interaction here, but Irith? I screwed that up. Irith?
Basically, my questions are just like how to run the colony and how to get the member base built up, because I'm having the same issue that Ericar is having with Pensacola. There's not a lot of people that would be.
The more events you have, the more people will come, because it's just like in Wayne's World, and they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends,
and so on, and so on.
It's the way ours built up.
But if you just say you're going to have an event and you never do it, you have to get on the ground with it. Run events with 3 people. Just keep running them. Do it in high-profile areas, especially when you're in costume and you haven't done anything for a while. Get out there and be prepared for questions. That's another thing too. It's like, oh, we're LARPing. We'll be here every Saturday or whatever. That works. But we went once, here's a trifold, here's a business card. When you don't have time to talk to somebody, it's like, here's who we are. Okay, gotta go. That kind of thing. That way they have the right info, but you're not sitting there explaining it for 20 minutes, because that's what I end up doing. And then, hey, game's over.
He's still talking.
Yeah, I mean, Averin started with just 3 people. I mean, we've got a core group of about 11 people now, and we still have a handful of people that come or go. What really helped us is Facebook. I post everything that we do and all of our events through Facebook. We had 5 people in the last 2 months, out of nowhere, just, hey, we see your postings, we like it, we're going to come check you out. They were at All Hallows Eve, and there you go.
And then we'll take I'll go in as the LarpCraft profile. Now I can like things as the LarpCraft page. So that'll put it on my timeline through the LarpCraft page, which opens it up to hundreds of more people. So you can like something as your page and get more interaction that way. Don't forget Twitter too. Twitter's just biting at the heels of Facebook, and there's a lot more active user groups in younger crowds, and a lot more. How do I say this? Role play potential crowds, geeks, nerds, role players,
LARPers.
Once you start getting into Twitter, yeah, I prefer Twitter 5-1 to Facebook.
Twitter still confuses me.
I don't understand Twitter.
Oh, Twitter's so
I'm with
much
you.
easier.
I've never used it, nor do I ever plan to.
I'll have half-hour conversations with Joss, and we'll talk between columns.
Amen, Ronan.
We'll and then I have a conversation with Joss, and we'll have it on Twitter. I'll get 5 more followers just because we keep posting, and we post the word LARP. And the people start searching stuff, and all of our conversations come up because, we're just out there chit-chatting, and we'll do it as characters. We'll do it, and it's so short. It's cool. It really is cool.
And as you were, the beginning of your question was how do you run a game?
Yeah.
Basically, before the game, I'd say at least a week. Write down what you want to have go on in the game, what NPCs you're going to need, what kind of props you're going to need. Then get out there, scout the area. That's always a good thing to do. Okay, you're walking through, you're like, oh, this would be a great place to set up this. And, well, this is not a good place for this. And,
Have your little notebook, forget it, or
stuff like that.
What we'll do is we'll go out as a team, and he'll place it. I will record it with my phone, and I'll say, this item is located here. The idea was this, and just do that.
When he gets home, he'll play that video, pause it, write up a little thing about that little section, play, then this is what he's writing down for the next one. But yeah, about a week, 2 weeks before you're going to go, don't place your quest items, especially if it's in a public place. But go out there and realize, look at your area. What do I want to happen? What is this game about? What kind of story am I going to tell through this event that can lead to the next one?
And utilize us as elders, as the Elder Scrolls. I got an idea for this. You're also a chief. So if you don't want even your other elders to know, if you don't want your other elders to know, post it in the chief-only section so just, the chiefs can see it. I don't even know if I have you set up for that permission yet. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. I should. And if I don't have any of you chief elders set up where you can see the chief elder scrolls,
Not set up.
let me know. Because I've done screwed up.
Actually open something up, because he has a bad habit of teasing people where he lets you at least look at the scrolls, even though you can't actually open up the content. Yeah.
Elder Scrolls created. Yep, I can go in it.
Okay.
Hey, you did though, Ryan, however, leave the Overlord Scrolls open the other day. I walked in my phone on the forum runner, and I was like, hey, look, Overlord Scrolls. Scroll through it, open up one of the threads, went, yeah, secret Overlord powers. Oh!
Denied.
And then 3 minutes later, locked. I was like, come on, don't be a hater. Were you screwing with me, or were you messing around the server?
I was probably screwing with some of the permissions, and it temporarily allowed viewing at that time.
There's not much in there.
There's really not much in the Overlord section that's not already.
How are you doing? Good. You gonna have pizza? Yeah, let's have pizza.
Yeah, I got a
It's
text like not even 5 minutes after that happened. He's like, dude, did I become an overlord and not even know it? I'm like, no.
No.
You kidding? The crap we had to put Zephyrus through to get to overlord status. You know how many times he's asked and begged and pleaded and done anything he could? My gosh, that was like a 2-year painful
Begging
process.
He, if anyone, that I can see deserved it. So I mean, I'm totally down with having it.
He has put in the due diligence for that.
We're back to 3 overlords.
Yeah, Odin stepped down. I just got the feeling that was going to happen, and he loves the games. He just doesn't want to run them. That's okay. Put them where they want to be, and like that's another thing for colony elders too. If you, if an elder just gets burned out, just back him down and say you don't have to.
Or give them a different job.
Right.
Let's say if they're the monster master, and they're getting burned out on always coordinating NPCs and doing all that kind of stuff, but they still want to be an elder, you give them a different job. Let somebody else see how they can.
Or give them a break.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe just go out there and just elder referee. Play your character and just, a lot of times I see that with him. He sees it with me. When we're getting stressed out to the point where we can't run shit anymore, it's like, all right, go do something. Get out of this position because it's driving you nuts and you can see it. So
yeah, we saw a little bit of that Saturday with our elder team too. So we're definitely going to work on that. Try and relieve the burden of one individual over the others.
So,
it's hard.
Sorry, not meaning to interrupt. Do you have any more questions?
I've already PM'd our tenant about this. What exactly do you mean by sponsoring an elder? Because Nithrian, I need to set him up because he's running this with me.
That means you say it's okay.
Okay, I just I didn't know if it means I have to do something special. All right.
As far as I know, he just would put your name down that you're the one sponsoring him when he does the application, and then they'll PM you and say, are you really sponsoring him to become an elder?
That way,
am I wrong?
Elders coming into your colony without your permission.
This guy uses a lot of terminology that I don't even know. Like when we first started doing this, he said, "Yes, we have to get all the promoters together." I'm like, "What the hell are they promoting? Sponsors? So we're gonna have Nike? What are you talking about?"
No, it's a 12-step program. You get a chit for every year,
No 12-step programs.
And now a message from Samuel Adams.
AA's for quitters.
Suddenly you start seeing product placement in the background at all these events.
This episode brought to you by Logitech.
Medieval logos just appearing on stuff that's like, isn't that a symbol for that company?
Ye old Nike.
We're bringing in a horse and carriage, and it's got a BMW logo on the side.
Hey, you might be on to something here for sponsorship. I mean, if BMW would throw $3,000 at you a year, and you just slap their logos on quest items, done. You just dress it up a little bit.
British carriage works.
I'm just thinking money here. We find something we can medieval up a little bit. They have medieval Batman now. I mean, why can't you make medieval anything else?
Yeah, they have Batman in all leather armor.
Yeah, it's really sick. Actually, you can go look at that. I'll post that.
I've seen it. It's awesome.
That's something we all need to do collectively as elders. Is we need to sit down and do a brainstorming on what we can do for startup capital, especially for new colonies. We've got so many coming on board now. And even those of us that have been established for, like Averin, a year now, I'm still struggling sometimes to come up with the funds. Just ideas that we can do. I mean, some people have said, "Hey, let's do a car wash" or something like that. I'm like, get me the money.
That's a short-term thing.
Yeah, in armor. I'm gonna go do a car wash in armor and kit. A medieval car wash.
2 days.
Can you see me doing a car wash in my chainmail, just scratching the hell out of somebody's car?
Chainmail.
I'm gonna get this.
But seriously, I think I'd like to do an elder meeting maybe next month or something to just do some brainstorming, ways we can bring some money into the starting up colonies.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a good separate topic as a whole. We could do a whole episode on that.
So, any more questions?
This is just more for myself rather than like as an elder. Where are like places I don't know. I'm poor. I really need weapons and everything, so I can actually be.
Places.
Yeah.
Small.
Because,
you could do parks. You could do state parks. You could do.
Are you talking hosting events or getting weapons?
well, I have my battleground realm, so.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Did you take a look at your pictures? They're pretty epic. It's not a battleground. It's like it's outpost. It's outpost.
It's only like 83 acres though, and a lot of like the.
That's an outpost. You could 3-day at that.
Dude,
there's no like, camping or anything allowed, so that's why I wouldn't really want to call it an outpost or anything when it's just Nithri and I so far. So.
Right. Well, the outpost just means you can host a full day event. You can have 20 plus people there. The battleground is really more your public park with swing sets and whatnot. You got a nice little open ground. Really? Not the photos I saw.
It has tennis complexes. It just also happens to have these trails.
Yeah, like 83 acres of woods off the backside. Why don't you host an outpost?
Yeah. The outpost we used for our last event, it's got 2 miles of trails, but it's also primarily a dog park, and there's a huge muggle ground. But the other half of it that most people don't even bother going on is nothing but bush trails, and that's where we held our event.
So back to your question was about the weapons?
Yeah, because I'm like really into the Calamassal stuff. Like everything that I've considered ordering is from Calamassal, but I can't afford it. So like LARP on a budget. Because I know a lot of the people that probably come into Aldaria, they're probably going to be like younger people that are in, our group starting with. So
first starting out,
foam noodle make weapons. They're about $2.87 per weapon once you get it all done.
The thing is, when you're first starting out, you don't just go from I'm starting LARP, I'm starting my own realm, then you have super high level of immersion. It's always a step in.
Start with light immersion.
Right.
Absolutely.
The foam noodle weapons, PVC pipe, 3/4 inch PVC pipe.
No PVC pipe.
Half-inch PVC pipe. Take a pool noodle if you don't want to use the pool noodle shape, take a pool noodle, take a heat gun or a hair dryer, roll it out flat, and then you have flat foam you can work with. It takes a little extra time, but a $2 pool noodle that you can at least unroll and shape into something else like a dagger or.
Don't do anything he just said. That'll take forever.
Yeah.
Put the noodle on the core, and you can shave some of it down if you want to, but just leave them pool noodles. And a lot of our weapons, our loader weapons, there's still a few pool noodles in the trailer that are just, hey, if they're extreme backups, they're like, give them something.
These are mainly ornamental.
Gareth,
do not use these.
Relative to the past.
Take a look at the crafting scrolls under the Averin colony. You'll see all the homemade buffers that I made for my colony. It's just camp foam, it's driveway markers, and duct tape. And
Ryan's going to slap me. I know he's going to slap me. Put it down. Put it down.
Waiting.
All the way down. Okay. From foam noodles, then you can progress into the latex weapons. We're going to be eventually making some of those. But a good place to start is this is where he's going to slap Epic Armory, Dark Knight Armory, stuff like that. The latex weapons, they're okay. They're not great like Calamassal, but they're another step up from the foam noodle. And they work. They look better. They're, like I said, they're not Calamassal. It's they're the step up, and they work really well. But you have to be careful, because if you try to buy the stuff on Amazon, like the Kit Ray sword and like the Sword of Excalibur, and that stuff is about that hard.
We try to do as many reviews as we can, and we're doing the Wicked Replicas line next. I got a whole bunch of them I got to do yet. And trying to post to help people like yourself figure out, this looks really good. Is it too good to be true? Yeah. Typically it is. If you're paying under $30 for a decent LARP sword, it's not a decent LARP sword. They've had to cut a corner somewhere. And that's just kind of what you come across.
A lot of those stuff won't even pass our safety inspections because the foam isn't, it's either too rigid or it's not thick enough on the striking surface, or the striking surface itself is actually too sharp.
It's too narrow and it bites when it hits. But
how about Strongblade? Have y'all done any reviews of Strongblade or have any issues with their weapons? Or because I've gotten a couple from there.
Strongblade is actually a reseller. The three lines I know they carry for certain are Calamassel, Epic Armor, and Forgotten Dreams. The other one is actually a very little-known company called Palnatoke, and I believe R10 is just now starting to do some research on them.
I'm a dealer, man. I can sell all of their stuff, but we don't have the distributor here in the United States doesn't carry all of it.
Gotcha. But I know that I had brought that to his attention myself a few months ago, and he had no clue what I was even talking about.
It's basically Epic Armory with a different name.
So to answer your question, yes, there are different levels of how much you want to spend. Okay, if you're going to spend very little, you're going to get the foam noodle wrapped in duct tape. If you spend a medium amount, then you're probably going to get into the latex weapons, which are, like I said, a little more. They look a little bit better, but again, they're not high level quality. And then obviously you get into the high dollar area where you're going to be, that's your Calamassel, which I love. I love my sword.
I'll let you know that Plastidip is going to be probably your best friend if you're going to avoid starting with pool noodles. I mean, if you want to, that's cool. Pool noodles great to begin with. But once you get into just camp pad foam, if you're still making your own, Plastidip, it's at Lowe's. It's like $5 a can, and it's the best thing you can go a foam weapon with. And actually give it some, strength.
So I hope that answered your question.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
It's just I don't really want to spend money on anything that I don't actually want. Like Iris, I generally want her to have like some kind of like claymore type weapon, and I don't want to spend like $30, not $30, but like a low amount.
$250.
If I can find a claymore for $30,
that I really, really want. I really want this Calamassel one really bad.
well, the way you could do that is, spend this much to get yourself into the game. Buy this sword to get yourself into the game, then save up, because that's what I had to do. I started off with just a regular latex sword. Actually, I started with a kit race sword. And he said, no, can't use that. Because you're hurting people. Okay, no more. And then got a latex sword, and I used that for about a year. And then finally I was like, I've been saving up my money, and it's tax time. Went ahead and got a Calamassel sword.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Rest of my colony uses those buffers that I made. I mean, I strived for a little bit more realism in the overall look and shape, but I saved up. I bought myself Charchrist from Calamassel, and since then, we've now got 3 Epic Armory blades in the colony now. I mean, people see the quality, and they're like, hey, we want to step it up. But it doesn't matter. You're just starting.
That I see is even if you have a low immersion realm where you're using the pool noodles and maybe your costuming isn't all that great, but if your role play is high caliber, the other stuff will come. And you just keep that high level of role play. Yeah, it may just take a little bit more imagination. That's a pool noodle. No, that's a sword. But if you keep the high level of role play in, then as your props come,
they just, as people can afford it, every game it gets a little better and a little better and a little better.
I'll show you pool noodle. Sorry.
I'll still play with the foam noodle.
No.
I will. I'll beat him up with a foam noodle out against his Cal muscle. I don't care. I'm an equal opportunity basher. I don't care.
Do you think you can hit me?
I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I saw a little bit of that action, man. Ronan's pretty quick with that blade.
He's also very predictable.
I don't know. I mean, you catch him with that hammer, I still think he's going to hit the ground. That thing is awesome. I want it. I want it badly.
That thing is so not
hard.
right. It's so
It's
not
so
right.
bad.
It's so not right.
That's called concussion waiting to happen. Whack.
Weapons are going to always change. What we had on live action products was I was trying to designate a certain amount of each sale for LARP grants to put away amount of money so that when a new colony starts up and they are really dedicated and they're not going to just take the stuff and go, that there be a way to send them, 20 swords.
That would be so helpful.
And to just say,
Too.
maybe you pay $50 to cover the shipping or whatever, and we just kind of take it out of a percentage of sales. Nobody's doing it. And once live action products gets to the point where we are mass producing stuff and making, live action products Texas mass produce stuff, and live action products Missouri mass produce stuff, once we all kind of can just pump stuff out, and each artist has a little different feel, and that's cool. That's what we want. We want a lot of different people making stuff, but have a collection of, okay, the goal of this thing is to keep growing the sport and to keep growing the colonies, and to give a little, give a few pennies off of that. We'll put it into this fund. Eventually there's going to be a committee that will run that fund, and basically you can apply for your grants.
On this same but on a different line is that these colonies that are signing up and they're not doing anything. They never have an event. There's nobody writing in their scrolls. There's nothing going on with them. I think that if you're going to sign up to be a colony, you have to have at least so many events a year.
Have you not looked at the scroll?
No.
Oh, we sprung clean.
Oh, yeah. And we're not done.
We basically, if there's no activity in a colony in 6 months.
Wait a minute. I just realized something. Did you say sprung clean?
I did. I used all types of wrong words.
Let it go, Ryan.
You got what I meant.
Yes.
If the colony doesn't have any activity in it in 6 months, we move it to the inactive colonies. So that way it's not cluttering up the main page with stuff that's not happening. It's still listed. And, people's lives change. They thought they could do it and then they couldn't, or they didn't realize that, running an event takes that kind of stuff. And that's a failure on my part, that I don't have those how to start a colony videos done, and that you got to realize what it takes and actually how little it takes. You just got to have the right personality to be that person or that group that can go out there and do it. If you're not that kind of person, the people who are on this chat here are not the people we're talking about.
No.
And, people are busy, and, we can't force somebody to do it. We appreciate it that you signed up, and, we went through the effort to make everything happen, but we're going to have a loss ratio. There's going to be a certain amount of colonies that sign up that just will never evolve to anything. And eventually, if they haven't done anything in a few years, then, we'll take them off the maps. We'll take them off the scrolls. Or let's say they've changed to a different group. They went with a different, game system. All right, just let us know and we'll take it off. But, we can't control what other colonies do. We can just give them a chance, help them out as best we can. And then after that, if they can't do it, they can't do it.
Well, I was thinking, speaking from a poor colony as well, I posted it on the Chief Elder Scroll at one point, but
do we ever have any rich colonies?
I've never come across a rich colony.
But I was thinking, something to help out the new colonies, like once Blackwater takes off and we get away from the foam noodles or some of the cheaper props, that we don't use anymore because we got better stuff, maybe like an inter-colony donation type thing, you know what I'm saying?
The donator's box, you just ship it there to our tenant, and he's got a big box that says, here, donator's box, ship it to the next news colony. And there,
Yeah.
We did that. We donated all of our first boffers to the Minoki colony because they were going to do stuff and then they didn't. So if they don't pan out, we're going to go and grab that box of boffers and move it to the next colony. And like the last game we did, everybody brought canned goods, to help out with the feast. We had so much canned goods, we gave it away to the Midland colony for their next game. They had stuff. And then I think some of them went to the food shelters and stuff after that because there's just, we're not going to have a game to the point where let's, give it to who needs it. But from a game aspect of running fundraising activities, you're at a catch-22 with trying to get businesses to help you out because there's no exposure for them. They're not going to help 3 people and whop out $100. That's too risky. There's, if you have 500 people, sure, businesses will be like, oh, I'll, put our website up, $500 over. Yeah, but that helps pay for the bills for the year. But until you get enough of an exposure level, it's hard to do that for a bit. Not always, but most of the time.
We still haven't been able to do that here.
I haven't even attempted to get the, we had that membership drive, and we have the other option would be for you to run your own membership, and we could discontinue the Epic membership or tie it in. We talked about that.
Yeah, what we were going to do before you changed it all up is we were going to do the Epic membership as it is, and then we were going to do the Legendary membership, which would be a little bit more, and that extra money would actually go towards funding the colony.
Yeah, we could do it. Actually, we could still do it the way we have it, but make it where you should sign up through the colony, and then the colony gets $5 of each membership.
Right. You see, and that kind of goes along. You've got the sponsorship program going with the Epic membership. If I've got 5 guys that sign up, I get an XP boost. And I agree. If they were to purchase that through the Chief Elder, that helps secure funds for the group, as well as, if they bring 5 friends, yeah, I'm going to give them a bonus, just like you are. So
I'm revisit that again before with 4.0. I think we can just do that. That makes it easy.
Anything we can do to get money into the starting fund. Yeah.
Grassroots. You guys need the money.
Absolutely.
And,
well, everybody needs the money.
LarpCraft's an endless dark hole when it comes to.
Yeah.
My wife.
Mine too.
Financially ruined myself. But, LarpCraft, when it has thousands of colonies, okay, then it can support itself, then it can do it. But, and then it can give away too, because then there's enough stuff happening each day. My God, the Skills Training Center and the Epic, the Experience Vault, holy Jesus. When you got that many people, that's, we got a plan for that. But let's do the membership. Let's do a collective membership where you sign up through your colony. If you don't have a colony, then let's just do it online. But, try to sign up locally.
It's Ronan.
What?
Oh, I heard a keyboard tapping.
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
Ireth, I'm kind of where you were, plus a little farther, and then I'm between you and Ufnar right now, or you and Lee.
No, actually, you're all the way on the right.
Okay. Anyway, I've come to the point where after a couple months of putting aside pieces of paycheck for game props, things to go out and find furniture stores. Anything in your town that would have foam for making like props for the game or pieces of $2, like the post earlier with the $2 tiki torches. I mean, you can go to Walmart and buy a $2 tiki torch and use that as, hit it with a can of spray paint and then put a gold 90-cent foam ball on the top of it. Boom, you've got a quest item. Your dark druids have an evil staff of something or another. I mean, build your props for your realm so that your quests are more immersive. And, if you've got a foam sword, $2 sword, so what? At least your quests are like, hey, wow, that's a cool quest item. How'd you do that? Kind of buff up your quest, your realm immersion a little more.
You'd also be surprised, even around here in Sheboygan where we are, you're just driving around town or whatever, you see people like throw away a couch.
Boom.
I look at the couch and I go, I can rip out all the foam in that couch and use that to make a costume, all kinds of stuff.
Couches, especially the foam, is great in them. If you see a couch cushion, snatch that thing up, throw it in your car. It doesn't matter if it's got maggots and rat, dung all over it.
Yeah, no, that's too far.
Bust out your razor knife, cut the cloth off, take the foam. The foam is well worth the effort.
I would draw the line at maggots and then mold. I don't have many lines, but that's one of them.
I mean, there's a mask seller on Etsy. If you're going to do costumes, they have $20 masks that look awesome. I mean, awesome. $20 masks. Yeah, they may fall apart after 3 or 4 games, but for $20 to get started, and that gains you 5 more players. I mean,
like the one right now that we get through.
Yeah, but you can get this one for $15.
Yeah, well, right there.
It's lasted a really long time. Shake your head back and forth. I mean, it does not.
That looked like a part of a horror movie.
It did. It looks like he was possessed there for a second.
Dude, these Morse costume masks, our tenant gifted 2 of them to the colony. I've got this one and I've got the white vampire one. They're phenomenal. They're almost like everybody's now seeing the Ufnar mask. I really don't like it just because it kind of smashes my nose and it does get hot. It's a lot thicker than the ones you get from Morse costumes.
But the thing is, at least it's got a mouth hole you can breathe.
Right. These are phenomenal. I wore this for like 5 hours Saturday, and it didn't bother me at all.
We went to a Last Hope event where we NPC'd, and they put us in zombie masks, and it was full face.
Like pass out.
We died.
It was pass out death.
It was like try to hit somebody, just fall over.
By the way, this is Corin. They have a face for the name now.
What's up, Corin? Gordrax.
What's up, Gordrax?
But yeah, I mean the Ufnar mask I got, it's the same problem. The nose smashes flat, and man, after 4 days at Esker, I didn't take that mask off except to sleep all weekend, and my nose was just wrap off.
Okay, so what's the next topic of discussion?
This is the longest recorded chat thing I've ever tried to do.
He's going to spend the next day and a half trying to upload this to YouTube.
It's going to take a day and a half just to render back to where this will be a file I can actually look at. It'll be like 60 gigs. But
AirCore, I've got the buffers I got, like I said, I'm planning on putting in for a bulk order with my colony to get some loner weapons that are a little bit more immersive. And all mine I planned on donating to whoever needed them. So once I get that in place, I'll put a post or something in the Chief Elder Scrolls and basically first come, first serve.
And here's something else you can do.
Well, I appreciate it.
You can have all your players, you say, can everybody donate like $5? You can do that to go buy, and you go buy a bunch of, the camp pads or the foam and the cores and whatever else you're going to need to make the stuff. Then you can have everybody over, count that as an event, and get XP for a crafting session.
Or make a list, make a laundry list of when you come today, these are the things we need to bring. Bring these things, and we'll make them all up right all together.
And you get XP for doing it.
And you'll get more XP because you donated the material. Colony elders can donate well beyond the max XP if you're going to have people, like, if they're dropping, let's say somebody, and this happened, somebody dropped $50 to be like, hey, buy some more swords. You know, like one of the these are random donation of a ridiculous amount of money. And that wasn't ridiculous, but to us who we play in dollars, not, you know, that was a lot. So, you know, we graciously gave them a couple thousand XP. I would have gave it through my own profile if I had to, if it would have caused rift otherwise. But just, you know, private message one of the overlords of like, hey, this is what I did, this is what we need to do, or put it in the submission with your game submissions, just put it in the box that said, you know, we gave this, you know, 2,500 XP because this person donated like all these props, or, you know, they donated all this stuff. That's cool. You know, we'll definitely help you do that.
All right. I like that idea. Yeah, I
Or
think that
you
would.
could do,
My personal
you could
one
do
right
something where get 100 XP for $1 donated per dollar.
Yeah, to a certain degree, that's kind of they dealing with the danger. But
We kind of stuff that.
I don't know what happened. My brain's starting to shut off.
When Trey first came on board, man, he donated the leather. I mean, everybody now has seen the life bands and mana bands. I know you guys got samples at Esker. Everybody loves the style we did.
They're awesome.
Yeah, we don't use anymore.
Oh, you gave me mana bands. Haha.
I got life bands because I don't use mana. I don't need to use his spells.
All right, I'll figure out something for us to make for you that you'll be able to wear anyway. But, I mean, he donated all that leather, and, yeah, I did the same thing. I dropped, for like 4 submissions, you know, I gave him a bonus XP because it was a lot
of money in leather and time, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we made, just for the colony alone, I think we made like 30-something life bands and
we
another
had a
25, 30 mana bands. And, yeah.
We made more life bands than we did mana bands that night.
Yeah.
That day.
You know, if you're looking at this, Erath, this right here is duct tape, camp foam, a little bit of nylon cording here, and
Or you can use hockey tape.
yeah, and driveway markers, you know, for the cores. You know,
That's second gen for us. This is our first gen. This is one I made.
yeah. I mean, in cost and materials is right around $8 to $10 a weapon, depending on the size. But it's a little bit more realism, which is probably, I think, with your questions about the other Epic Armory and stuff. You know, just a little bit of artistic flavor into it. And this is the difference between a pool noodle boffer and this. It's still a boffer. It's still foam. But, you know, it's if you can't afford it, you can get crafting supplies really cheap from your local hardware store. You can make them. We're role players, man. We all have an imagination. If you don't, this is not where you should be.
Pretty much, because at our last event,
Imagination.
with our tournament we
Start
had,
busting the song. You better watch out.
and I role played my rogue. My ribs getting broke as she hit me in the torso.
It's kind of a little.
Don't forget Josh.
Role
Turn
playing.
your face off after he kills you.
We're gonna have so much fun with you guys next year, man. We really are.
They don't know. They have no clue what's coming. They have no clue. There's going to be a blood storm. They're not ready for this.
I got people asking me, can we bring full-on props? Can we bring gates? Can we bring that kind of stuff? That is something we should bring up. Be careful your props are not big enough where they can fall over in a windstorm and break somebody's leg or fall on somebody and hurt somebody.
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to more anchor that thing.
Well,
No, knocking it into the ground about a foot. So that,
well, we had like the crypt from Gandalf. We did a really good job of making that so it literally can't fall over because it's always supporting itself. It's square, and the feet. I mean, we literally made sure that it wasn't going to fall over. The kite situation that we had,
Parachute?
that Esker at the World Game, a severe storm came.
Windstorm.
Windstorm came and literally almost took the tavern, and put it into Oz. I mean, it was like
I was on my way to the Yellow Brick Road.
there was we probably had 15 people hanging on the canvas, and it was like dragging us. I mean, it was like bad stuff. It was not anchored properly.
It had to have been worse down there at the battlegrounds and in the track.
It was open. It was open, so there was no trees, and we got the win. You guys didn't get the win.
Yeah, I was gonna say the most I got was to sleep in a lake.
Yeah, we just woke up in puddles. That's it.
No, I got a good shower.
Yeah.
Cold shower.
I didn't sleep because it was so damn cold, and I was.
And
wet.
that we actually had the emergency radios, and they worked for a while. Between the camps, it's like, are you guys okay? Yep. Are you guys okay? Yep. Okay. So, like, it's game off because the trails are
Slippery.
slicker than crap, and it's dark, and it's bad news.
And that's another thing you'll run into. Some groups will be like, oh, we're game on from this time to this time. It doesn't matter if it's rain, hail, sleet,
thunderstorm,
cats and dogs, an apple pie falling from the sky. It doesn't matter. But we do if the trails are so slick, then like they're rocky or muddy and stuff like that, you go out there, you can fall and crack your skull open. We're not going to go. No, stop. So, and that's another thing that elders need to be aware of, to look for the signs of stuff like that.
Use Murphy's Law. If it could happen, it probably will when it's in that situation. Because your players are going to play to the best of their ability, and they're not going to care about their safety.
So that's another thing when you're out there in your realm looking around. You look, okay, well, if this gets wet, or if the snow starts to fall, what's going to happen to this? If it's this time of year, how much ice is going to be on this? Not that you should be walking on that anyway.
So we have a realm, Meloria, we never used because I was so afraid people were going to fall off the cliff. There was a cliff there, and if you fell, you would die. It was like the cliff above the caves. It had full caves. Awesome. But the cliffs that we had no fencing and stuff.
Yeah, we had to close one of the trails at the Tanastia event because flooding earlier in the year had completely washed it off. I mean, several of the trails anyway, they run along the riverbank, and it's a good 12, 15-foot drop down. But there's enough room or enough tree, I guess. You've got 3 or 4 foot of tree in between the trail, where the trail ends and that bank is, that I wasn't worried about it. But there was this one spot that had completely washed out. The trail was completely gone. We had to shut that down. And if we hadn't have walked the park the weekend before, we wouldn't have known that.
Especially with that winch in the ground.
Yeah. There was another one. We found a winch for a tugboat or something where they throw it across the river to anchor boats that had come unearthed because of it. So I knew as soon as we saw it, somebody's going to step in that hole, they're going to twist their ankle, and it's going to be game over.
It's like I keep saying, stupid happens.
Yeah.
And stupid hurts.
Stupid hurts.
But that being said, you got to you'll know your community of LARPers. You'll know what they can and can't tolerate a lot of times too. So, I mean, just because it's raining, we've played through just pouring rain, but it was on the good trails that had gravel, proper drainage. There's really nothing to get hurt on. So, I mean, we just said, stay up here, don't go down there. We rolled with it. And other times, like Esker, that just wasn't possible, so we had to call it. But we didn't call it to the point where it was like, okay, pack up and go. It was, okay, lore time, it's tavern time, it's, let's drink and sing songs and, do that kind of stuff. It was just a different, we took away the fighting and put it into more, just shifted it. So being able to do that stuff on the fly is the sign of a good elder team when they can just adjust on the fly like that to the weather. And that's your biggest threat basically at all times is weather. It'll change fast.
It's awful here. We have 2 seasons here. We have summer and we have winter. And one day it'll be summer and the next it'll be winter. My birthday's in the middle of August and it was 60 degrees that day.
Where are you?
Ohio and Cincinnati.
Oh,
You call that summer?
It's like
Well,
just the week before it had been like 80, 90 degrees, and then the week of my birthday it was like awful.
No, the guys up in Wisconsin and us here in St. Louis and pretty much anywhere in the Midwest, it's
4 seasons in one day.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't know where I'm from in West Texas. It's pretty bad. It's like the sun will come up and from a low of 0, it will quickly rise to 102 degrees. Then a tornado will come through, followed by a plague of locusts.
Hey, that was last week, Ronan. That was last week. And now we've had thunderstorms all week long. And it's been, 70 degrees, and then in the morning it's like 40.
Well, you're not in West Texas.
We're in East. It's just as bad.
Well, you got to put up with the humidity. I was just the heat.
So
Yeah, it sucks living on the Gulf.
it rains every day at 3. You can't not, figure out the weather there.
Hurricane. Ho-ho.
Florida in summer.
Pass.
Yeah, you talk about you get up, take a nice shower for the morning, get ready for the day. 5 feet from your door to your car, you're drenched in sweat.
I got 5 pounds of sand in my ass crack.
That's the tough part with Florida. Well, unlike the tropics too, Puerto Rico, Carlos was picking on all of us. Hot down there isn't until it's 105, but it's always 100% humidity. It's always tropical. But we were all making fun of him when it drops below 40 degrees, and that Puerto Rican, oh my gosh,
Drops below 65.
below 65 degrees, and he's like, oh, like you got 7 layers on.
He's got 7 layers on and hugging the fire.
And then you got Josh running around without a shirt,
That does bring up a good
cold, man.
That brings up a good point though too, that we had a few of our more fragile players, and everybody's bodies are different. So some of these guys were it was like 60 degrees with a steady wind chill and it rained. We had some hypothermia happening. I mean, it was really weird because it was people react differently to that. So identifying if somebody's not acting right or you can see that they're not well, get them some help or attend to them, and get some stuff. And like we in the trailer, we have the fire extinguishers, we have the first aid kit. Get yourself a basic first aid kit for colonies. People are scratching themselves and
Bug bites.
boo-boos and whatever. People falling all the time.
Did you just say boo-boos?
I got a child. I say things like that. Would you go to boo-boo? That's going to come back to haunt me.
Oh, yes, it is.
I think boo-boo.
Gotta give them bugs.
Full character. But big spray bottle of the antiseptic, that kind of stuff. That goes a long way because people forget to bring it. We try to preach it all day long to bring that stuff. Bring the bug spray, bring the sunscreen, and they do for a while, but then when they run out, they forget to rebuy it. And then it's amazing how fast your supply starts to dwindle, so you got to kind of be careful with it. Be like, well, dude, this is the 3rd time you're getting bug bites. Sorry. There's a point where you have to call it if they're not going to do it. But
it's a one giant itchy bump. They go,
he's an NPC. Yeah.
What is he, a leopard? Uh-huh. He's got boils. Don't let him near you.
Eric, you guys have
major boobs.
Yes, what?
you guys have any more questions? We all have ADD, ADHD, and this will carry on for 5-6 more hours if we're not careful.
No, I'm pretty good for the night. Some things I have to turn in actually, but yeah, if I have any more questions, I'll just hit y'all up in PM. You and R10 and everybody's been pretty good about getting back pretty quick with me.
Yeah.
We try.
I'll have to tell Nathan I think of stuff he wants to know.
I mean, you don't even have to turn to the overlords. I mean, your other elders we're all a team here.
I was helping people out before I became an elder.
That's what I enjoy, because usually the way it was at the beginning, everybody was sending me, Ryan, and Odin all the questions. And now they're posting it, and other players and the elders are answering them for us.
A lot of times in the rule book, when people ask a question, the players answer before any of us can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fast. I mean, they really can get to them beforehand, and that's great with the community as big as it's getting.
Yeah, I think I've only had to step in and just, it's not even that they answered incorrectly, they were just slightly off. You know, the foundation of what they said was right, but they were off on a couple things that clarified. But yeah, we have a great community. We really do. And we all look out for each other. So use it.
I love it. Everyone's so nice.
Well, we pick on you a little bit, but not too bad.
And just remember, I'm in charge of everything, and I run things past you.
King Ronan.
Reverse that. No, not the king.
Here, the king.
Joss and I are on a mission to scare away any of the weak-willed ones, if you haven't noticed. Gordrex and Ufnar are trying to eat everybody. We're testing their resolve.
I'm not talking about anything about our tenant. You're going to just see it in game, and it's going to screw with you forever.
You will have
Or we'll eat you and it's
nightmares.
So with that being a do, we're going to call it a night for this elder chat that went way off topic and way longer than it was supposed to, but it was a good chat, and we had a lot of good questions from the new colonies coming in. And, if you're thinking about starting a colony, hit us up, join, do it, or, ask a bunch of questions before you do. We got a general help section, not even in the scrolls. It's, you can ask basic questions about starting a colony, and we'll be there to help you. So, hey, everybody, let's go ahead and say goodnight.
1 second. One last question. It's gone.
Okay, then I'll say what I'm going to say. Be sure to look at the getting started section before you start posting questions like, how do I get started? Because there's a
really detailed rundown of how to get that done.
And a video on, especially on how to submit XP and things like that. Just watch it. It doesn't happen exactly at the beginning, so just watch it through. It's how to create a character, how to submit your XP, how to submit for your achievements. So it's a great tool. People should watch it all the way through before asking questions.
Yes, the Skills Training Center does not like it when you skeet them XP.
Yeah.
Oh, and with that, do not put a comma when submitting your experience.
Yeah. Use those getting started guides for the new colonies coming in. Use those getting started guides as much as you can. And we got to update some of them because, a 13-minute video, dude, what was I thinking? That getting started video is way too long. I got to break that up into like 3 videos or something that's like, don't ever put a video on that's more than 2 minutes because it's the
layout of the site's changed some, so I get a couple PMs every once in a while. They're like, hey, I watched the video, but,
what is that now? The template changed, so the picture doesn't look the same.
And your question.
Oh, okay. 2 questions. A, can we start having elder meetings more like twice a month maybe, and kind of all of us funnel questions into the post for that elder meeting coming up? This is Tuesday for the middle of October. Funnel your questions down here as in a post of a thread. We'll kind of talk about it here, and then we can smash it down in the elder meeting. A, and B, making videos. And kind of adding them to the tutorials. I've been kind of wanting to make, a few tutorial videos here and there, or, some of the combat stuff. Like you were like, yeah, we'll make combat videos. So I was like, well, I've got some of the time to do it at the place in kind of a woodsy backyard, so I can run out there and, some gear and say, okay, here's how the armor system works, or, that. Can we do that? Can we just make videos and send them to you and say, hey, use this?
Do it. If it's a good video and it represents LarpCraft in the positive way and everything's right, we'll put it on the LarpCraft channel on YouTube.
So in other words, he won't approve any of it because he's not doing it.
That's not true. You guys got a lot of good talent, and I just want somebody else to post some of the videos. And if you can make the videos and you need me to do the editing, I can do the editing, or Josh can do it, or somebody can do it. We can do it. So you can use
Going back to your first question, I love the idea. We should have before the next meeting a scroll set up says elder meeting for such and such questions to be considered or talked about.
So when an
And
elder
we have-
session gets recorded for 3 hours, that's what happens when you don't have an elder meeting enough times.
Right.
Because
So
I've been
we'll come
dying.
up and say, okay, this question, let's discuss it. This question, let's discuss it. So we'll have an agenda.
Somewhat some structure, but also, to actually have an elder meeting. I've been dying to have an elder meeting. I was going to actually ask, both Nar earlier this week, we're like, hey, hit Ryan up, see if we're going to have an elder meeting anytime soon, because I would really like to have one, throw some stuff out there, get it talked about, brainstorm a little bit, maybe some loopholes or, help the new colony elders, since we've got so many that just came in.
Loopholes? No loopholes.
Okay, so we should set something up like it should be. We'll be able to post something 1 week ahead of time before the next meeting.
I think we can go further than that because we got we got the LarpCraft calendar. That's what it was designed for. It was
So you want
designed
to
for all that stuff.
So you want to schedule them?
Schedule
like
them
a month
out.
and a half?
Yeah,
Schedule
twice.
them out, like 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks. Let's just toss 2 more Elder Scrolls or Elder meetings together.
Now,
And that brings up another good point for new colonies. Schedule your crap more than 2 weeks in advance. If you post something 7 days and you're like, oh, I didn't get anybody to come, it really takes, there's 2 things you really got to look for. 1, post it at least a month in advance. You'll get better turnout. 2,
Post it everywhere.
post it everywhere. You got your scrolls, you got the Google Calendar, you got the LarpCraft calendar, you got Facebook, you got all your social media stuff. And give yourself, if you're doing regular events, give yourself 6 weeks to start bringing people in. 6 weeks is a magic number. I don't know why. But if you continually do it and go through the blood, sweat, and tears for 6 weeks of games, 6 individual game weekends, they don't have to be back to back. After like 6 games, it seems something happens.
Because they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends, and so on and so on.
But 6 weeks seems to be the 6 different weekends. After that, it goes beyond what you've done.
Got it.
Anything else then?
Zoltan.
I'm good.
You got a weapon with me.
All right.
To say this stuff.
Well, then we bid you adieu on the Elder Epic meeting that went way too long and on many different topics. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.